immortal words of Judy Brown. Happiness is a choice. We're happy you're spending some time with us. Chip and Zay holding it down on an overreaction Monday. If you're watching to us on the YouTube channel, the Texas Sports Unfiltered YouTube channel, please like and subscribe. That helps us grow. And if you're please give your love and affection and dollars to the incredible sponsors around our faces. And if you're listening to us on the app, please play along on the Coda text line at 512-222-9328. Zay, lots to get into today, my man. We'll be joined by Brett Wilkinson of the Directors Cup Updates, Directors Cup dates on social media to talk about Texas. And this was certifiably bananas, how they won this fourth Directors Cup in 5 years, because a lot of things had to happen for Texas to win this thing, like Texas A&M tying USC for the men's track and field championship, Stanford's 5K runner falling short. Otherwise, Stanford would have won the Directors Cup instead of USC, but it all worked out. And Texas, the Longhorns, are the Directors Cup champions. Directors Cup is awarded to the college athletic department that has the most on-field success in the NCAA championships. And that goes to Texas, Zay. How you doing, my man?
I'm great, man. Yeah, congrats to the Horns, all the athletic programs, all the coaches, CDC, everybody that's a big part of that. Well deserved. And that's what you get when you go to Texas, man. Like Sean Miller, he said it when he came in, just how crazy it is that every single program is having success. And Sark's talked about how it puts pressure on you as a coach because you don't want to get left behind. And yeah, another Directors Cup, pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many people were paying attention to the NCAA track and field championships. And we'll talk to Brett about it, and we'll get his take because he monitors this and sends out those Directors Cup updates. It was totally bananas. But I will say this, as it pertains to the Directors Cup, this was not a thing before Chris Del Conte took over as the athletic director in December of 2017. And it was just something that Stanford collected every year, in part because they compete in, they were at one time competing in more than 40 men's and women's sports. Texas competes in 21. Now I think Stanford's at 36. But the hiring of excellent coaches, the support that is given to these coaches has allowed for Texas to become this juggernaut athletic department when in 2015, 10 years ago, this athletic department was lost at sea completely. It was a college athletics superpower that had no rudder, no steering wheel. So it's amazing what's been done since Chris Del Conte took over. The alignment from the top down, which I talk about all the time. It is the intangible to any successful athletic department. Kevin Eltife, the chairman of the Regents Board, And, Jay Hartzell's gone now to SMU, but you've got James Davis, who's the interim president, who's shown that he's very supportive of athletics, was involved in Texas's move to the SEC as a member of this Texas administration. I say to the Texas fans all the time, enjoy it while you've got it, because it is no guarantee that it stays. You have to have the right people in place. Texas does. And that allows for success.
Yeah, amen to that. I mean, to win a Directors Cup your first year in the Southeastern Conference, that's pretty impressive. Like, remember what everyone was saying about Texas joining the SEC? Like, oh, they're not ready. I know, talking about specifically football, but kind of everyone as a whole. Oh, they're not ready. They ain't ready to play with the big boys in the SEC, big bad wolves. Well, another Directors Cup later, here they are standing their ground, holding their own. Shout out to the swim team. Shout out to softball. When you're top 5 and top 10 in different sports, you give yourself a chance. And I think it's really ironic that Texas A&M played a part of helping the Horns. Like, that's pretty crazy.
Who knew?
Who knew? I don't like to thank Texas A&M very often, but I guess you have to in this sense. Like, yeah, that's a crazy thing right there. But yeah, well deserved. Well deserved.
Yeah. Yeah. And good overreaction Monday to everyone. Jose, hope you had a good weekend. Hope everyone had a good Father's Day weekend.
Yo, were you at Wu-Tang last night?
Yes.
Did I see that correctly?
Yes, it was awesome.
Man, look at you.
Wu-Tang and Run the Jewels. I'm a big Run the Jewels guy.
Yeah, Killer Mike and the white dude. I don't know the white dude's name.
Yeah.
Killer Mike.
Yeah. And had never seen Wu-Tang before. Yeah, it was.
We'll get into that.
They were hyped.
We gotta get
all right, let's bring in Brett Wilkinson, who everyone, if they're not following him already, needs to be following him. Direct Cup dates. That's the Twitter handle right there, right, Brett?
That's right.
Man, this was as crazy as it gets, was it not, Brett? You're the expert. You've been monitoring the Directors Cup. You size it up for us and how this thing played out. And you know how ESPN has that 90, whatever percentage reading of this is going to happen or that's going to happen. Maybe tell us what your percentage reading was looking like at various times for Texas to win this 4th Directors Cup in 5 years.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a wild finish. So interesting. 3 teams competing in track and field, USC, Texas, and Stanford, all going at it. All came down. The clinching moment was really the 5K race. That's the second to last race in track and field. Looking at the numbers, the 4x4, which is an exciting track race, really did not have a direct impact on the final outcome. But it was the 5K, and all 3 teams were still in it at that moment. And it was just the closest finish that I'm aware of ever happening in the Directors Cup. 5 points separating first through third. Out of a contest where teams are scoring over 12,000 points, 5 points is 0.33% difference. It's minuscule. It's literally a razor's thin margin that Texas ended up winning. Came down to the last moment. Stanford tried to sneak in there and win it at the very end. They were 1 place away in a 5K race. Their runner came third. If she had passed the New Mexico runner at the end for second place, Stanford would have made the comeback and won the Directors Cup. But Texas held on just barely and won their 4th out of the last 5 years Directors Cup.
Yeah, so the final margin ended up being 1.5 points.
Yeah, between Texas and USC, it was 1.5 points. And like I said, had Stanford won just 2 more points in that track meet, that would have bumped them up, and they would have been in first. So phenomenally close. You look at USC, they tied with Texas A&M in men's track and field. So normally when you win a championship, that's worth 100 points. Second place is worth 90. Well, since they tied, they end up splitting those points. So both of those teams get 95 points. So had USC won men's track and field outright, USC would have won the cup. So, a little bit of help from our friends to the east in Texas A&M. They helped Texas secure their 4th Directors Cup. So, gig them and thank you.
Yeah, it's pretty ironic, Brett. Let me ask you this, because all of these schools that are in the top 3, Texas, Southern Cal, and Stanford, obviously their athletic programs have always been dominant as a whole. But each 3 schools jump to a new conference, and you would think there would be some type of step back, and there wasn't. Are you surprised by that?
Well, I would say the premise of your question, I would say yes and no to start off with. So, and let me explain what I mean. I'm curious to see where Stanford goes from here. I think Stanford definitely would have run away with this, hands down, had their women's basketball team been more successful, had their baseball team been more successful. Their men's basketball team has struggled, though that could have put them over the top if they were a tournament team. But if you look at baseball and women's basketball, these are 2 Stanford programs that have been very successful, historically in the recent past. And I do wonder how much that move to the ACC hurt them. Their women's basketball coach, Vanderveer, I think is her name off the top of my head.
Yeah, Tara Vanderveer.
Yeah, she retired, and I wonder how much of that had to do with the move to the ACC. She's been coaching a long time. I imagine that coast-to-coast travel, as rough as it is on these 20-year-old athletes, I'm sure would be even tougher on a coach who has a lot of years of coaching under her belt. So, I do wonder how much that impacted them. And if their women's basketball team, which is a Final Four, Elite Eight team year after year, had they made the tournament, Stanford would have won this hands down. So I do think it negatively impacted Stanford to a degree, and I'm curious to see how that continues to impact them going forward. Where I say no to that is a lot of the sports that Stanford and USC excel in are not really even tied to the ACC conference. So sports like water polo, for example, both of those teams are incredibly strong in water polo. Track and field is not really impacted by your conference. You really don't compete against your conference that frequently in track and field. Things like rowing for Stanford, so there's plenty of sports that are really non-ACC affiliated, where if they are, it's just you get together with your conference once a year to compete. And I think Stanford and USC will continue to excel in those sports compared to the basketballs, baseballs, footballs, for example.
Well, and Brett, correct me if I'm wrong, but you score points in a maximum of 19 sports, 4 of which must be baseball, men's basketball, women's basketball, and women's volleyball.
That's right. And, the Directors Cup caught me slipping a little bit this year. They actually added a 5th required sport. I do not go back and review their scoring system document every year. I've got it in my brain. So I didn't pick up on this change. They actually added women's soccer. So now there's 5 required sports, which seems a little bit odd to me. You now have 3 women's sports that are required, 2 men's sports. In my opinion, they should add a 3rd men's sport, and that would be football. But that's just my opinion. But it's now 5 required sports, and then you have your next highest 14, regardless of the sport.
Wow. Well, that gets to your point of Stanford typically being, very competitive in baseball and women's basketball, and volleyball for that matter. And maybe those programs slipping hurt. But USC, what stood out about USC? Because we haven't heard that name as much. It's pretty much been Texas and Stanford the last, three of the, last Directors Cup wins by Texas were over Stanford. So where is USC making up ground?
I think there's two ways to look at it. One, this was a relatively down year for Stanford and Texas. For Stanford, we've already mentioned they took zeros in 3 of the required sports, baseball and both basketball teams. So those zeros really hurt Stanford. Without those required sports factored in, Stanford's running away with this once again. Texas had a little bit of an off year too. Mostly for Texas, it was 13 programs finished in the top 10. So they had a lot of high-level success, but it's down at the bottom of the score sheet where they kind of fell off more than they have in the past. So Stanford and Texas both dropped down a little bit. USC had a really good year. Most of the time, USC probably has this year, and they finished third with Texas and Stanford battling it out about 100 points ahead. So Texas and Stanford fell back. USC did have a great season. Their track and field teams were amazing. The men's team won both the indoor and outdoor. The women's team got second in the outdoor. They were third in the indoor season not too long ago. So they were fantastic in track and field this year. And then water polo, both of their water polo teams finished second. So they had a lot of success on the track, some success in the pool, and then just up and down the roster, a lot of high-level finishes that they had in other sports as well.
Brett, 4 out of the last 5 Directors Cups for Texas. Where have you seen that shift? Because I remember growing up, it was always Stanford. Like, I vividly remember that iconic Sports Illustrated cover with TJ Ford and Chris Sims and looking across to those Stanford guys. And again, it was always Stanford, and here's Texas, 4 out of 5. Where have you seen that turn of Texas?
Yeah, that's a great point. And, early 2000s, Texas was rolling in football, in baseball, men's and women's basketball. And then, of course, you were having a lot of success in other sports, but it was a little sporadic. And it certainly wasn't all 19, 20, 21 sports that were on campus at the time. I think what really turned was the hiring of Chris Delcani. And he came in, and every coach of every program, it's, hey, top 5 is the goal. What do you need to be a top 5 program? And I don't know what the discussions have been in the past between athletic directors and the soccer team or the track and field program or rowing. But I have a feeling that those athletic directors weren't pushing those programs as hard as CDC does. And not only push them, but also put the resources behind them to be successful. So I think for Texas, Big 3 success used to be fine. Everybody's excited about that. The fans love success in the Big 3 sports. But you know what? CDC came in and said, if you're a sport on this campus, you're gunning for a national championship. Let's make it happen. And that's how Texas, with a relatively small athletic department compared to Stanford, 21 sports on campus for Texas versus 31 for Stanford. With 21 sports in a contest that counts 19 scores, you have to have an incredibly efficient rate of scoring to compete. And that's what Texas has done over these last 5 years. And that's what's been able to keep them competitive with Stanford. And it's really amazing, honestly, that Texas has been able to beat Stanford in this contest with how it is really geared more towards a big athletic department like Stanford. So Texas has been incredibly successful across the board, which is really hard to do. And it's really, I think, an amazing accomplishment. So I think that can't be stated enough. It's pretty incredible what Texas is pulling off right now.
Yeah, and you look at the national championships won, and volleyball won back-to-back national championships this year, or this past school year. They finished, I think, tied for 9th.
That's right.
And softball wins a national championship, and rowing, finished third, where they'd been, winning national championships. But you had, men's swimming and diving come through with a national championship. Men's tennis finished third. Football finished tied for third And football, what, 3 years ago was a 0 for Texas.
Yep.
So that's changing.
And talking about how close this finish was, I've had this come up in some conversations on Twitter, and I think I don't know if he's your friend or your enemy, but Danny Davis pointed out, if the Directors Cup uses the coaches poll as the scoring mechanism for football, Texas finished third in those rankings. If the Directors Cup had chosen, 20 years ago, hey, we're going to use the AP poll, Texas finished fourth in the AP poll. That would have been a 5-point difference, and it would have been USC winning the Directors Cup. So that's just how close the margins were this year. Usually we're talking about 20, 30, 40, even 50-point, margins in the Directors Cup when all's said and done. But this 1.5-point margin, I just can't get past how close it was. And one of the things I asked on Twitter is, hey, what are some of those moments that would have changed the outcome? And Danny pointed out, hey, if they used the AP poll, that would have been 5 fewer points for Texas, and they would have finished in third place instead of winning their 4th Directors Cup.
Wow.
Yeah, because USA Today and Learfield formed the Directors Cup, right? Or NACDA.
Okay, that might be the answer. I wasn't sure why they used the USA Today coaches poll, but that would make a lot of sense to at least give an explanation why they favor the coaches poll over the AP poll.
Hey, little shout out to USA Today. Go ahead, Zay.
Brett, you talked about adding a 6th sport in there for the guarantee sports. Mm-hmm. Which one would you add? You said you had football. When do you think that could happen, or do you think that could happen? You see that any time coming soon, or is that just not on their minds, or whoever's in charge of this? Like, how do you see that working out?
If I were in charge, it would be the case. I do not have any insight into the thinking behind the Directors Cup. Those who are in charge of it. But, to me, it makes so much sense. I believe their mechanism for deciding which sports have been required, it's been the highest participation in what I'd call like a true team sport. Track and field, you have a track and field team, you have team standings, but it's an individual sport at the end of the day, right? Outside of your relays. So that's how they've chosen now the 5 sports that they've chosen in the past. So football, I think, has not been included because it doesn't have as high numbers of teams participating. Obviously, there's a lot of D1 schools that do not have football programs, right? We're talking about all of D1. So you've got plenty of FBS teams, you have plenty of FCS teams, but then there's a lot of schools that don't have football programs. My argument to that is, who cares? If you look at the standings of the Directors Cup, you can go through from 1 to 100, and the only schools you might come across that don't have a chance to compete in football postseason would be like Gonzaga, and then your Ivy League schools. Which, the Ivy League schools have made the decision not to compete in the FCS playoffs. So that's on them. But really, when you look at the top teams scoring in Directors Cup anyways, they all have football programs. So let's throw that line of thinking out. Let's be honest with ourselves that football is the driver of college athletics. And let's add that as a required sport. How can you win a contest that awards the best overall athletic department and you're leaving out the most popular sport by leaps and bounds? It's astronomically more popular than baseball, basketball combined, So I would make the argument that it should be included, and it cheapens the award to a degree that it's not included.
Good point.
Well, also, how about Texas beach volleyball, which finished tied for 5th in their NCAA championship in its inaugural season, right?
Yeah, that was huge. And again, it's a 5-point victory. So any team having any ounce less of success, Texas doesn't win. At the beginning of this year with beach volleyball, I think in my mind and in, on some of the forums and things, people were saying, oh, maybe Texas could put together a pretty good team and could make the tournament. It's a 17 team tournament. So that was kind of the way of thinking, I think, of a lot of fans and people who follow this relatively closely. And man, they really put together a strong team. They beat some of the top teams in the rankings throughout the year. Really, I don't believe they lost to anyone ranked outside of the top 10. So they really had a great inaugural season, made the tournament, and not only made the tournament, but had a really close match against UCLA. And I think there were some moments where they had to stave off some match points against UCLA. So if they don't do that, again, that's one of those moments where if it goes differently, Texas does not win the Directors Cup. But they did. They made the Elite Eight in beach volleyball in their first season. And honestly, I'm going to start penciling them in for probably an Elite Eight finish. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're more like a top 4 team going into next season with some of the talent they're bringing in beach volleyball.
So the lowest performing counter for Texas was men's basketball, which
with
earned
5 very important points.
5 very important points.
Oh, yeah. So you can make the argument that it was men's basketball that won the Directors Cup for Texas.
How about that, Zay?
Yeah, USC and Stanford, they were horrible at basketball this year. So
yeah.
Texas,
it was really basketball that is the lowest counting score. And, then the 5 programs at the bottom of the score sheet after that were all track and field related. So the indoor season for both the men and women was not great. The women actually did worse than the men in indoor. I think maybe some of the hurdle distances are different. And, Kayla Garrett, who had a great 400 hurdle, really key 400 hurdle performance on Saturday night. She was not so good at the indoor hurdles, different distances, different track, et cetera. Both of the cross country teams, they've finished ranked 31st and 32nd. So it's really the track and field program that really dragged down the bottom of this score sheet. And, Coach Flo has had a lot of success. He's won a couple of national championships in this decade. But the last 2 years have not been great for Texas. A top 10 finish for the women in outdoor track. That's a good finish, but he's got to get that program back on top where they were a couple of years ago. And I'm interested to see where cross country goes. One thing with track and field is they've had limited scholarships, and that's for all of your track and field athletes. That's for all your cross country athletes. You hope that there's some crossover between your cross country runners and your 5K runners in track. But still, I don't know the scholarship numbers off the top of my head, but it's pretty limited, especially on the men's side. So how do you build a program that has 30 events to compete in and you have 10 scholarships? Well, now with that changing, the scholarship limits being lifted, I am curious to see if Coach Flo can capitalize on that. We know CDC wants to fund all of these scholarships. So if Texas can be one of the track programs that can, give 30 full scholarships, whatever the number is, does that advantage Texas, where Texas can start bringing in even more track and field talent and get back on top in track and field? And then, they'll be hard to beat in the Directors Cup if that's the case.
Yeah, that's a good point, because Texas has said that they plan to fully fund all of the scholarship limits under the Newhouse settlement. So let's see how that impacts things. Zay, you got one more?
Yeah, Brett. What school surprised you this year? Maybe not had a chance of winning it, but it's in the top 10, maybe the top 25 that maybe you haven't seen on this list before.
That's a good question. I'm looking at kind of how I see the top 10 shaking out, and I'll be quite honest with you, it's a lot of the old guard. These schools that have big and successful athletic departments, they tend to do it year after year. I'll say USC was not on my radar at the beginning of the year, in the middle of the year. And they really made a strong charge in the back half. Their baseball team, I was kind of tracking this. Their baseball team was on the cusp of not even being a tournament team for most of the season, and they got pretty hot at the end of the year, got in the tournament, and then had a nice little run in the tournament. So as I'm watching them go 2-0 in their baseball regional, meanwhile I'm looking at Texas sitting at 1-1 in their regional. That's when it started getting like, oh, this could get really interesting between Texas and USC, knowing what they had coming in track and field. So, Texas winning against Kansas State, that ended up being very important points once again. And USC was 2-0. They got beat twice in a row by Oregon State to advance to the Supers. So, Oregon State knocking off USC ended up being huge, but I did not expect USC to make that strong of a push. And they were right there, like I said, until the very end. And, one difference in track and field for them, and they would have ended up on top.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And it does, when you ask the question again, talking to Brett Wilkinson, who does a great job of updating everyone throughout the year on the Directors Cup. Follow him if you're not already at direct_cup dates. And those moments that you pointed out, Reese Atwood, the 2 RBI single on what should have been ball 4, ends up lifting Texas to that game 1 win over Texas Tech. And Texas wins that Women's College World Series in 3 games against Tech. You could put that one in there. The 4th and 13 pass from Quinn Ewers to Matt Golden for Texas to win or stay in at that point, the Peach Bowl against Arizona State. It's fun to go back and look at some of those moments, because it really, like you said, this Directors Cup came down to a series of moments.
Yep. Yeah. Wow. People mentioned, softball probably even more incredible than that comeback victory over Texas Tech on the intentional walk gone bad. The unintentional 2 RBI single, that Clemson series, 2nd and 3rd with no outs, and Clemson's ready to walk it off. And, a pitching staff that had been struggling up until that point, and Teagan turned it on and got the team out of that pickle. And then, the rest is history. The softball team was amazing in the College World Series. That was so much fun to watch. And without those points, again, Texas isn't winning their 4th Directors Cup. So, yeah, it's fun to go back and look at all the things that could have been just, slightly different. People mentioned USC. They had I believe it was a high jumper, 5th-ranked high jumper in the nation, doesn't make it out of the prelims, and, he scores no points. That would have put USC over A&M, 5 more points for USC, and that's what it would have come down to. So it's pretty incredible, just all the moments you can go back for all of the teams involved and think about one thing goes slightly different, and it's a different winner this year.
Wow. Brett, anything else that you think is important to note here with this this historic Directors Cup victory?
I think I've drilled this home, but it really just is amazing what Texas is doing right now. People say, it would be good to know that you're in the good times when they're happening, so that you don't miss them. To Texas sports fans out there, I'd say, hey, this is the good times. Enjoy it. Of course, we're all going to live and die with football success. And, we've obviously experienced a lot of that recently. I know everybody's anxious for us to get over the hump there. We want to see baseball have a better postseason. We obviously made the big change in men's basketball, but you know what? There's all these other programs on campus as well that are having a lot of success. And I love following the Directors Cup because I'm actually legitimately a very big Texas rowing fan, for example. I never thought that would have necessarily been the case, but when you attach this extra meaning of like, this might help us win the Directors Cup, then I'm dialed in. I'm watching Coach O'Neill and these ladies out there rowing their hearts out. And I'm getting emotional and having emotional responses to a rowing race finish, just like I am 4th and 13, for example. So it really makes it fun. Sports is about having fun. And when you attach meaning and emotion to these sporting events, it just amps up that intensity. And hopefully it's a victory and you're celebrating. But if not, it's fun to watch regardless of the outcome. So tune in, watch these other sports. If you want to have that attachment to these other sports, make sure you follow me online. I'm going to keep you updated with what rowing might mean, what women's tennis might mean, and how it's going to impact the Directors Cup. And that really just helps amp up the enjoyment of being a Texas Longhorn fan. And CDC has this thing rolling, and hop on board because it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's incredible. 7 now of Texas's current coaches, I think, have won a national title, and that list now, of course, includes Mike White and Bob Bowman, who stepped right in for Eddie Reese and won a national championship, after the GOAT had won 15. So
if there's any question about what CDC is hoping to accomplish with this athletic department, look at that hire in and of itself, to go from, the stalwart of swimming and diving coaching and Eddie Reese, and to just lay down your dollar and say, hey, I'm going to go hire this guy who just won a national championship, Coach Michael Phelps. We're not settling for second rate in any sport. We're going to go get the best of the best. That's clearly what CDC is after. Like I said, he wants national championships. He'd win 21 national championships a year if he could make it happen. So that's what he's striving for. And it's fun to watch, and it's nice to have an athletic director who's really just pushing every single sport.
Yeah, I'm with you, Brett. I say all the time, enjoy these days, these incredible years of alignment, because Texas fans know what it's like not to have it. And
we're not that far removed from Jetpack Man at football games. So if you know what I'm saying, you know what I'm saying.
That was a great time, Brett, man.
What's wrong with you?
Man, is he going to survive
those are
or
the darkest days in Texas athletics.
But the mystery, is this guy going to crash or not? It's just the anticipation. It's a good time.
Oh, man.
Long live Jetpack Man.
Yeah, I keep hearing rumblings. We got this question from Sean. Do you think Texas will have a women's gymnastics team in the future? I keep hearing if Texas adds for the women, it would be women's lacrosse and gymnastics. But I think they want to see how the House settlement all works out, and then they'll go from there. So
I'll make my argument for the other, and maybe I need to send this to CDC on Twitter. I agree. Women's lacrosse, women's gymnastics, those are probably the most likely, and they make a lot of sense. Especially women's gymnastics in Texas, in the SEC, makes a lot of sense. The sport I would advocate for, from a purely Directors Cup standpoint, women's bowling. The winners of women's bowling includes teams like Sam Houston State, SFA, Jacksonville State won it last year. It was their first year in competition. Tell me Texas and CDC couldn't make a move and immediately be at the top of the women's bowling rankings, secure a lot of Directors Cup points. And look, we wouldn't have been having a heart attack on Saturday night watching the women's 5K. Texas would have had the Directors Cup in the bag. So for Directors Cup purposes only, women's bowling, I think, would be the best move if you're trying to grease the wheels of the 5th Directors Cup.
I love it.
Hey, Brett, I already got your coach for that too. Hire my man, Hall of Famer Pete Weber. That's my man. Who do you think you are? I am. Hire that dude. I heard that
That's
too. Bring those championships in, CDC. That's the guy right there. I like it. I like bowling.
there we
Oh,
go.
my goodness. I thought, see, I'm from Michigan originally, and people bowl because they do it in the winter when there's nothing you can do outside. So I'm interested to hear that, like, Sam Houston's been winning that thing, because I would think it's northern schools, but no.
You
That's
know,
good
the only big name programs that I see competing at a high level in women's bowling has actually been Nebraska. So that fits with your narrative there. But also Vanderbilt has a pretty good women's bowling team. But it's a lot of D2, D3 schools that are the ones that are the most competitive. Like I said, CDC is not going to make a women's bowling team and not push them immediately to the top of the heap.
Yeah, look at that beach volleyball program bringing in some key points on that Directors Cup win. Brett, great job all year long as usual. If no one's told you in the last 5 minutes, thanks for all of those who want to know what's going on with the Directors Cup. Appreciate you doing it. Great stuff.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. This year was more fun just with how it finished. But it's always a lot of fun, and I appreciate all the engagement and questions that I get throughout the year from people that are following along with me. So we have a really good time with it.
Yeah, that's awesome, and keep up the good work. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah, nice chatting with you guys. Thanks for having me on.
All right, there he is, Brett Wilkinson. Follow him on social media at direct_cup dates, so that you'll always know what's going on with the Directors Cup. It was bonkers coming down the stretch of that NCAA track and field championship. I had to keep refreshing Brett's feed to know what the hell was going on, because I couldn't keep up with it all. And, if she finishes second and not third in the 5K, I mean, it was nuts. So really appreciate Brett and his efforts to keep everyone up to date. And like we said, no one knew what the Directors Cup was before Chris Del Conte took over in 2017. And now it's, hey, every June, how we looking? So it's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I always think it's annoying how Stanford has that many more sports than Texas does. Like, it seems
like they used to have more too. They're down to 31. I think they were.
31's crazy.
Ohio State has a bunch too, but Ohio State never seems to be in the hunt for the Directors Cup. But they're Buckeyes, so they probably are too busy hating on people and hating on.
There you go.
Hating on teams that are coming to play them in football. I don't know. But
like, what is Stanford doing? Like, to what Jose's saying, is there like Quidditch and things like that? Like a Harry Potter game? Like, what's going on? Are they playing jacks? Are they doing, hopscotch, double dutch? Like, what's going on? Where's the separation here? Like,
yeah, those are not NCAA championship sanctioned sports. So Texas isn't getting points for the Directors Cup for winning in Quidditch. Maybe eventually, but not anytime soon. Yeah, Rex, if there was a hating category, Ohio State would win. I feel pretty confident in that. But yeah, that's
there too. OU, just doing the horns down every chance they get. Like,
I think that is such a form of flattery.
Oh, me too.
I think Texas fans should be like, oh, I love it when you do that. That just lets me know I'm living rent-free in your head. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love it. I never mind horns down, especially as they're, sign or whatever. You got the coaches doing it. Brent Venables, that's all he's got right now. So
that's all he's got.
That's all he's got.
I mean,
John Mateer could be whatever as advertised. I'm waiting. That's a lot of pressure on John Mateer, who was playing against Oregon State and all of them Mountain West schools last year. He was just carving them up, looking like John Elway, and he's supposed to be the next big thing. Baker, Kyler Murray, Sam Bradford, John Mateer, supposed to be the next big Oklahoma quarterback. All right.
Oh yeah.
We'll see. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. All right, back to Wu-Tang. Wu-Tang concert last night, man. That's epic because I love me some Wu-Tang.
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. I mean, they had all the attitude and all it was just great. You know, Tiger style, or I mean, they brings the ruckus. You know how Bucky always says, you know, they have a song, it's "We Are the MFN Ruckus."
Bring the mother ruckus. Bring the ruckus. Yeah. Uh-huh.
It's just, you gotta love their attitude and
Did you have 26 Chambers 93? Did you buy that album?
No. I mean, I've listened. I've listened to the songs on Spotify.
Well, now, but like, when did you become a Wu-Tang fan? This isn't just like your first time getting introduced to Wu-Tang. You had to like, when was the first time you heard Wu-Tang? They came out in 93, I guess 92 if you want to be specific with Protect Your Neck. But like, who stood out? Was it like Method Man or Ghostface or RZA?
Yeah, and I'm terrible with all the details. I'm not one of those guys, you know. I just like the songs. And
like, white people love "Old Dirty Bastard." That's usually where the white people get drawn in. Like, "Old Dirty Bastard's" like the first person they think of when they think of Wu-Tang, because he was so out of here, God bless his soul. So, you know, clearly they're not the same since he's not around, but it's still, they're all legends. Like, they're all like Hall of Famers individually, which is why they're so iconic.
Yeah, and they like each took turns, you know, coming out and doing their thing, and until, you know, there was 10 of them up there, and you're like,
there's so many, man.
Let's go. I'm like, how are they dividing these paychecks?
Yo,
you know?
That's the thing. RZA is a genius, man, because when they were growing up, they had their own record label, which that was Wu-Tang as a whole, but individually, he got them all separate contracts. So Method Man was with Def Jam, and Raekwon was somewhere else, and Ghostface was somewhere else, so they all could get paid. So there was no like beef between one another. I'm sure they had their differences, every group does, but there's a reason why 30-something years later, they're still able to go on tour and perform, because nobody's ever, you know, stepped on each other's toes when it came to money. They all had their separate things going on, and that's what's very impressive too. Like, they could do their team stuff, 36 Chambers, classic album, but when they made their solo albums, like Raekwon's Only Built for Cuban Links, that's a top 5 album for me. I love that album. I could listen to 1 through 17, think there's 17 songs, something like that, anytime, anywhere. Like, our Nas was on that album. He talked about, like, recently, because I think it's an anniversary for it, or something happened soon, but he talked about how nobody was talking like Raekwon, nobody could rap like that. Like, this is Nas. Nas is a top 5 rapper himself. Now, other than Only Built for Cuban Links, Raekwon's catalog, hit or miss, depending on who you ask. I think it's good just because I'm a big Raekwon fan, but Cuban Links, that's a top 5 album for me. And Ghostface Killah has albums that are high up there, in my opinion. Like, they're impressive. Like, I love Wu-Tang. Like, y'all, I don't know how many shows they have left, how many tours they have left, but yeah, you and Eleanor, y'all saw history last night.
Yeah. And Run the Jewels, man. was, you know,
what's
they
the
got their own
name?
thing going, and they just keep it going. I mean, they just keep you going nonstop, and they're, I don't know how old they are, but they're dancing around and still, I mean,
Yeah, they got energy. It's crazy.
good energy. Good energy. That's what I was looking for. Good energy.
Good energy. Yeah.
RTJ, run the jewels.
Was that at the Mood?
It was at the Mood, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was packed. It was packed.
As it should be.
It was packed. And their merch is like Wu-Tang's merch is top notch.
Legendary.
Top notch.
That Wu-Wear gear is legendary.
Wu-Wear.
Wu-Wear, man.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
well, man. We got breaking news. Texas baseball has picked up a commitment from Mississippi State left-handed pitcher Luke Dotson. So Luke Dotson, he was a reliever for the Bulldogs last year. In fact, he faced Texas in game 1 of their series, pitched 1.2 innings of scoreless relief. He'll be a junior next year, and he's a guy who's gotten better each year. And obviously, Texas looking to beef up their bullpen. We'll see if Luke Dotson's the kind of guy that they see developing into a starter. Obviously, they like what they've seen. He's a big dude, 6'4", 210, so he fits that power arm that Jim Schlossnagle is looking for. And he's the latest commitment. You've already gotten commitments from.
Yeah, how do you pronounce Butler's name? How do you pronounce that dude's name?
Jack. Marachnek.
Marachnek.
Yeah, Jack Marachnek. He looks like he might be the replacement for Max Ballou if Ballou goes pro, which it's starting to.
Pro.
Yeah, he's being projected as like a 2nd-round pick.
Damn, I didn't know all that.
Yeah. So I think Max Ballou's looking at that. Let's get that party started.
Come on, Max. You could wait a year, get that NIL up. The show ain't going nowhere. You know what I'm saying? You didn't have that year that you wanted to because you were hurt. No, I can't knock a dude trying to get that paper. 2nd round, that's solid.
That's the thing. If you make it in baseball, you are set.
Yeah.
Because there is no salary cap. So you want to get in there, get that process started, see if you can get called up, because if you're up in the bigs, man, you're set for life. It's a beautiful thing. But it's hard. I mean, look at my man Cody Clements,
Yo, he's popping off.
Yeah. Took him a while, but
that's okay.
He ground it till he found it,
How much do you love the game? It's gonna test you. Like that minor league lifestyle, it's gonna test you. Them bus rides.
Oh man.
All these AA, AAA, like not every place is Round Rock Express. Like just Round Rock Express, you get lucky if you get drafted by one of them. You be in the ATX basically. Everywhere else, you're talking about like Mobile, Alabama and stuff, like the trenches. So yeah, you better love the game because it'll test you. There's some long, dark days in the minors. But you're right. If you blessed enough to get called up, that changes everything. Dang, man. I wouldn't be so salty about Max Ballou if he would have played more this year.
Right.
Right.
You didn't get enough time with him.
Didn't get enough time with him, especially how the season ended. I don't want any of those guys. I'm still hurt on Kimball Schuessler having to leave. Which I think he has a promising career. That's a dude that enjoys the grind. So if you have a choice to come back, why not? Why not come back and try to get back? Get that James Brown, the big payback. Year 2 of Schwarzenegger. That sounds sweet. But again, that paper, that baseball paper, Max Ballou, he ain't stupid.
Oh yeah.
He's not a dumb individual.
No, sir. Okay, so did you watch any golf?
Yeah, JJ Spawn, you serious?
Are you kidding me? That US Open was as crazy to follow as the Directors Cup updates over the weekend from the NCAA Track and Field Championship. Because at one point you had 5 dudes tied for the lead and 4 more one shot back. And you're trying to see who can hold up after the weather delay. Then it's raining like crazy. My man Sam Burns wanted a drop out of the casual water. They said no. He hit his shot. It went flying off to the right. His tournament went down the drain. And JJ Spawn, who was spiraling out of the tournament after bogeying 5 holes on the front and shooting 40, which is what I shoot if I'm having a good day. And then the weather delay happened and he reset. He said he reset. I reset. And he comes out and shoots 32 and wins and makes a 64.5-foot putt on the final hole to win it. And you're just like, this is amazing.
Yo, his shot on 17 might have been impressive, more impressive.
He drove the green, 2-putt birdie. And yeah, his tee balls on 17 and 18 were spectacular because guys could not keep their drives in the fairway except for my man Sam Burns, who got hosed.
How you get hosed? How Burns get hosed? What happened?
They should have given him that drop.
Nah, man, you don't get no drop for what? Play where it is. This is the big league.
He was in a collection area.
So play ball. See, that's what messed him up. He worried about the drop. He need help. Play it.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
That was
mentally that's he was done after that. He was short.
And look at Scotty Scheffler, who was just sitting there right at +4, missed a 2.5-foot putt to go from +3 to +4. He missed 5 putts inside 5 feet, which is not like him. He just was not in a great headspace. And then you look at JJ Spawn, who was Scotty wasn't tumbling out of control like Spawn was on the front 9. I mean, I just can't believe he was able to turn it around like that. That's got to go down as one of the best championship performances of the year in any sport, because you shot 40 on the front. That's other golfers laugh at you for shooting 40. Yeah. And then he resets, comes out, and goes 3 under on the back 9.
Yeah, somebody got a good video, homemade video, bootleg. So we ain't gonna get in trouble here on YouTube of JJ Spawn's putt. Check this out. umbrellas
60.
everywhere and stuff. That's
Oh my God.
that rain. That's a mon muck too.
Yep.
The rain, I ain't got a good grip on my club.
Right.
I'm thinking about it.
Right.
This is the U.S. Open. It's already 5 inches in the rough and stuff. Like, come on,
Right.
man. It's nuts out here.
You're already miserable, and now the weather's making you more miserable. And you got to learn to love it when the conditions go south like that, because you got to say, here's my opportunity. All these other guys are getting beaten down. I got to be the one that turns this into my advantage. And that's what JJ Spawn did. He was thinking about giving it up a year ago.
Like quitting?
Yeah. And then he saw the movie Wimbledon with Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst? Hell no. Hell no, Kirsten Dunst didn't change his mind on retiring or not.
Well, the guy, I forget the guy's name who's in that movie, but he's thinking about giving it up. And then he makes a run. Let me see who that guy was.
That movie came out 20 years ago. You're right. Kirsten Dunst
And Paul Bettany.
Wow.
And, his ranking is tumbling. He's not sure he has the fight for it anymore. And JJ Spawn said he saw that movie and found a little bit more in his tank. I think he saw it on a flight. He drew some inspiration from it.
Wow.
And he's got, everyone who saw the final round saw he's got 2 little girls, and his wife was there, and his little girls always ask him when he comes home from a tournament, "Were you the winner?" And he's like,
Nope.
And then,
smoked, baby girl.
Yeah. Got smoked. That's the cut.
Yes.
He's only played in 2 U.S. Opens. In the first one, he missed the cut. Second one, he won.
Oh, man. I'm thinking about quitting, baby girl. Like, Kirsten Dunst saved his life. That's crazy. If you've seen Kirsten Dunst and Bring It On, that ruined everything for me. Love that movie, by the way. You know I'm a big Gabrielle Union fan, so Bring It On will always have a special place in my heart. But Kirsten Dunst almost ruined the movie of how bad she is. From there on out, I can't take Kirsten Dunst seriously in anything, which is wrong. I know it's not fair. I know I probably should give her another shot. And I'm sure she has some decent work somewhere. Like, she's been in Hollywood a long time. Clearly, she has a decent enough reputation to keep getting gigs. But, man, that's a crazy story. And I heard he's a good skateboarder too, JJ Spawn.
Yeah. Yeah, he was a big-time skateboard guy growing up. And one of his coaches was like, yeah, we try to use his skateboard legs on his drive. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about, dude? Let's not overcook this, right?
There's something to it. I get what he's saying. There has to be some science with it. Some deep. It might be, you have to really dig deep, but there has to be some science to why skateboarding has helped out his golf game. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure it's something in there. Yeah.
Life changer. Now he's like 3rd in the Ryder Cup points. I mean, life changer. In addition to now having a 10-year exemption to the U.S. Open and a 5-year exemption to the Masters and the British Open and the PGA. He's, and he said he used to think about stuff like when he was close in the final round of a tournament. He's like, if I win this, I'll be able to play the Masters, and he'd get all
in his head.
He'd stop thinking about the process. He'd start thinking about the result. once you start thinking about the result, you're distracted. You got to stay in the moment. You got to stay about what's gotten you to that point. You got to keep staying focused on those things. You can't be thinking about how much money am I going to make? Is my wife,
he's human. I feel him.
give me some action tonight?
Wow.
You can't be thinking about stuff like that. You got to be thinking about.
On another side, sometimes that stuff drives guys.
Yeah.
Sometimes, a little could make a dude as locked in as possible.
Right.
Well, so I saw people on X, Twitter, talking about during the rain delay, they were just showing Tiger highlights the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah. They were showing Tiger in the 2008 US Open when he had the playoff with Rocco Mediate. This is also when he was believed to be playing with a torn ACL in his left knee. And Tiger was unbelievable down the stretch. He made some just crazy putts. And I think that was that the okay, yeah, that did give him the career gave him the career grand slam for the third time.
Jeez.
Yeah, man. I could watch Tiger Woods highlights all day, every day. It's crazy how many highlights he gave us.
What is he recovering from right now? What is it again?
I mean, his leg was shattered in that car accident. He's just trying to stay strong enough to keep walking, right?
Yeah, did he tear his Achilles recently?
Jeez.
Like something happened recently.
Let's see. Oh, man.
Yeah, according to AI, Tiger Woods is recovering from a ruptured Achilles tendon.
Wow. Yep. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a rough one.
How did he get hurt so much?
I know. You wonder if some of it is like his body being out of balance after that car accident that they were like, we don't know if he's going to walk again. I mean, and apparently he was texting and driving when that happened.
Texting and driving, probably not the smartest thing, but when you got honeys like Tiger, like waiting for a response. I'm sorry, nothing to joke about. Tiger got him. I mean, Tiger player, popcorn player.
I mean,
Jordan told him. What Michael Jordan tell him? You Tiger Woods. Oh, what are you doing? All these women are throwing themselves at you, Mike. I see Mike smoking that cigar. Mike probably took that cigar out of his mouth, looked at him. You tell him you Tiger Woods. Like I tell him I'm Michael Jordan.
I swear.
Stuff.
And then they unleashed a monster.
Unleashed a monster.
Because I swear there was one point where Tiger was just making up his own terminology for stuff, like in press conferences, just to see if people would write it. He's talking about how his glutes are activating, but then he'd be like, then I tried to play this sling hook, just like terms that no one had ever heard of. I need to go back and I swear if I ever got to talk to Tiger Woods, I would ask him about that. Because he was just having fun with everybody.
No.
Yeah, a squeezer, for I guess what is a push fade. He'd say, I tried to put a titch on that shot, and people are like, what? And that was like for an increment of loft. It was funny, man. Tiger was spectacular. Watching that dude.
He needs to get back right so he can pull a LeBron and Bronny with his son. His son next up.
Sam.
Oh, Sam. That must be a lot of pressure. That might be more pressure than Bronny. Because, in basketball, you got 4 other guys you can depend on the court. Golf, you on your own. So what Bronny's doing, nepotism or not, is still impressive. If old Sam, which the way it's looking, he wants to follow in his father's footsteps. That pressure on that kid. I'm excited to see that. That's gonna be fun.
Okay, it looks like YouTube has an all-time Tigerisms. It's worth watching because some of his stuff is just like, say what? Hey, what? How much? What'd you say? But man, how old is Sam now? Sam Woods. Huh?
Like 16, ain't he? Yeah, name it. I don't know, bro.
Okay, 17.
17.
Oh, wait. No, Sam is his daughter. Sorry, Charlie is 16.
There we go.
Charlie is 16.
Yeah, old Charlie. Yeah. I hope he don't got that same, appetite that his father did.
Hey, he might have the same appetite. He might not have the same checkbook.
Oh, please.
I know. He started off with the checkbook and then it just turned into Perkins waitresses and
Perkins waitresses.
remember that?
I thought it was Bennigan's.
No, Perkins.
Perkins, ain't that the same thing?
Have you not read the Vanity Fair article?
I haven't.
Oh, it's kind of gross.
Oh man, Tiger's just freaky, like that gross? He's just a little freaky.
Yeah, go read the Vanity Fair article about him and the Perkins waitress.
Oh,
according to her.
Oh man. I don't think I'm ready for all that. I'm trying to have a nice, peaceful Monday. That's more like Friday stuff. I might have to get Friday.
Yeah. And the Tiger Woods unauthorized biography is epic.
Yeah, when I heard they were like, Tiger, sex addiction. I was like, oh, he's just a man. What are you talking about, sex addiction? He's just a guy. They were like, no. No, Tiger going through it. Like, damn.
Apparently, Earl was the same way.
Who?
His dad.
Oh, yeah, Earl. Yeah, Earl had the Winnebago. Earl was really wilding. Earl, yeah. Yeah, that trauma hit Tiger deep. That trauma. And you see it. Like, it's not Joe Jackson, Michael Jackson. You see it. Like, that trauma is passed off from the parent. It hits deep. So, yeah, that's that's funny.
Oh man. Is anyone paying attention to the College World Series?
No, I'm not watching it out of spite.
Arkansas is playing Murray State right now in an elimination game. Arkansas is winning, but the other half of the bracket is like what, Coastal Carolina, which is great for the Coastal Carolinas of the world. But
I like Coastal Carolina's coach. You remember he went off on the Florida coach?
oh yeah,
I like him.
yeah,
He had to put him in his place. And then when everybody was talking about Cinderella team with Coastal Carolina, he nixed that real quick. He came on the stand and was like, yo, y'all need to quit talking about us being a Cinderella team. We ain't no Cinderella team. We supposed to be here. We one of the top programs in the nation. Cinderella, my ass. We're supposed to be here. We belong here. Kids should want to come to Coastal Carolina and play baseball. I was like, damn, coach, I see you. They playing with that juice, man. They playing with that juice. That's all you need this time of the year. You can start off slow. Get that juice around May. Carry that thing into June. Just never know. But I can't watch it, man. It hurts too much.
yeah.
It hurts too much. As a Texas fan, like, Texas is supposed to be there. You couldn't get out of the regional. Like, what happened? I'm still wondering what happened with that.
Yeah. I thought UTSA would be formidable, and UCLA handled business.
That was their World Series. Coming to Austin was their World Series. UTSA, they were done. They were like, well, we did what we were supposed to do. We beat Texas. They were like, nah, y'all got to go to LA. Oh, really?
They probably had the time of their lives in LA.
I'm sure they did.
They probably had the time of their lives in LA.
And win a game in LA. Like, y'all can't win a game? Like,
UCLA is playing LSU tonight. And the name of that Tiger Woods book is just called Tiger Woods. It's by Armin Katayan and Jeff Benedict. Yeah, you can't stop reading it because it just, Tiger, he's so fascinating. Dude's fascinating. No. Unbelievable. All right, let's get a couple mentions in here because I'll do the chip shot a little early today. But Monday, you know what that means. It means all night happy hour at Cover 3. That's right. Cover 3, Dining Spirits Sports. Great place to hang out with your friends, enjoy a great vibe, great food, great service. You want to watch that LSU UCLA game tonight? Grab a couple buddies, head over to Cover 3 Anderson, Cover 3 Round Rock, or Cover 2 at 183 in Lake Creek. Of course, I always recommend the Sean Adams Prime Rib Sandwich, but the Chop House Burger, Texas Monthly calls it one of the best in the state of Texas. I love the brick chicken and mac and cheese. All kinds of good stuff. Don't forget the brunch on the weekends. Make your plans. Cover 3 and Cover 2 at 183 in Lake Creek. All night happy hour on Mondays. Hey, McCall Custom Homes. You want to get that bathroom or that kitchen redone? Then give Mike McCall a call because, listen, McCall Custom Homes been family owned and operated, doing great work in Austin for 40 years. They're all about the details, getting it just the way you want it, and making sure that everything gets done on time, as promised, at a reasonable price. Go to McCallCustomHomesATX.com and get your house exactly the way you want it. Yeah, it's going to add value to your home on resale, but more importantly, it's going to be the house that you want. That's what Mike McCall Custom Homes loves to do. They love to make you love your home, and that's the way it should be. McCallCustomHomesATX.com. And for my guys who are snoring, hey, it's more than just annoying to the person sleeping next to you. It could be the sign of a serious health issue. I had a sleep study, learned I had sleep apnea, and that's what Dr. Chad Denman wants to do for you. At Sleep Cycle Center, right there in Lakeway and at the Arboretum. He's got the best technology. He's going to, give you that sleep study. And here's the thing. If you set up an appointment at sleepcyclecenters.com, sleepcyclecenters.com, and tell them Texas Sports Unfiltered sent you, it's going to take $100 off your sleep study, practically giving it away so that you get diagnosed. And then he's got the best treatment plans because he's dedicated his life to treating sleep apnea because it killed his father when he was 60. And he has committed his professional life to making sure that no one else goes through that kind of pain. Just go to sleepcyclecenters.com. Tell them Texas Sports Unfiltered sent you. They're going to take $100 off your sleep study. And then boom, he's got the treatment options from oral appliances, which is what I have. Mouth guard holds my lower jaw open, get that deep sleep, to surgery. He's going to tell you what you need, not what you don't need. So go to sleepcyclecenters.com and tell them Texas Sports Unfiltered sent you. And of course, our man, Tom McKay, AV Consultations. When you're ready for the big screen of your dreams, you know where to go. AV Consultations. All you got to do is call 255-8678. And Tom and his crew are going to bring everything to you from the free consultation to installation. Make it so easy. You don't need to be lugging TVs around town, punching holes in your drywall. Let Tom do it. Let AV Consultations handle it for you so that you can, spend time with your family or whatever you like to do. avconsultations.com or just call 255-8678 for big screen of your dreams, surround sound, surveillance, electronic shades, new lighting. It's got you covered. avconsultations.com or just call 255-8678. All right. Zay, I'm gonna push the golf one more time because I got to talk about my girl, Farrah O'Keefe of Texas. So she's a sophomore. She played at Anderson High School. Okay. And over the weekend, she made it all the way to the Women's Amateur Championship across the pond in Nairn, Scotland. And at one point in this competition, and this is, the World Women's Amateur Championship. It's not just the U.S. Amateur Championship. This is all the amateur women players in the world who, fought and competed to qualify for this. And at one point in her semifinal match, she's down 4. It's match play. She's down 4 holes with 5 holes to play. And she came all the way back. I mean, talk about guts and guile and never say die. She, eagled a hole on the back 9 to get back into it, had a couple birdies, and then she played in the Women's Amateur Championship final in the middle of the night last night because it's a different time zone, and she lost to Paula Martin Sampedro, who's from Spain, who also plays at Stanford. And this is going to be a rivalry to keep an eye on as they finish up their college careers and move into the pro world of women's golf, because Paula Martin Sampedro is legit. I mean, obviously, she just won the Women's Amateur Championship in Nairn, Scotland. But Farrah O'Keefe and she's ranked number 8 in the world among women's amateur golfers. I think she's a absolute star for Texas golf. There's no doubt about that. But she's from right here in Austin, and she's qualified for the U.S. Open already in her amateur career. And she's a name to keep an eye on because, she competed for Texas in the NCAA championship. They finished tied for what they finished tied for. They were either 3rd or 5th. But then she went to the, Women's U.S. Open, finished 36th there, tied for 36th at the U.S. Women's Open. And, she'll be a junior next year at Texas. So Farrah O'Keefe, unbelievable performance, finishing runner-up in the Women's World Amateur Championship. And sky's the limit for her. And the San Pedro is also going to be a junior next year at Stanford. So you can see where this is going, I think these are going to be the 2 names that everyone's talking about in women's golf for a while. And Farrah O'Keefe from right here in Austin, man. Keep it going. Keep that smile on your face. Her dad is her caddy, and that can be good and bad. But he told her when she was in high school that one of the most amazing shots ever. She's playing in the state championship, and she's on the 18th hole, and she's got to birdie it to win for Anderson to win the state championship. She hits a 5-wood, almost makes eagle, and her team wins the state championship. Like, that's Tiger-like stuff, So I'm just excited to watch her, continue her career, because I think Farrah O'Keefe and Paula Martin San Pedro are going to be 2 names you're hearing for a while, kind of like when Scotty Scheffler was just kind of getting going at Texas. Keep your eye on Farrah O'Keefe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, shout out to Anderson High School, man.
What's that?
Shout out to Anderson High School.
Yeah, Trojan woman. That's right. There you go.
Woman representing. Yeah.
There you go. I just gotta look out for the locals, and when they're on
get to the right call before hating, bro. Well, damn well you hating. Anyway, shout out to Covert Bee Cave, Covert Automotive Dealerships. I've been doing it in the greater Austin area for over 100 years. I've been doing it well. Wifey's out of town for the week, so I got the Buick Encore GT. I'll be whipping that thing around the ATX. Can't wait for that. Don't tell her nothing, It's just between us. But, hey, y'all could be like me and her and get yourself a Covert BK vehicle. New pre-owned. Doesn't matter. 7 different brands to choose from. GMC, Ram, Jeep, Dodge, Chrysler, Cadillac, and, of course, Buick. Go to covertbk.com. See all the latest specials and inventory. Nobody beats a Covert deal. Not now, not ever. All right. NBA Finals tonight, Game 5. Series tied 2-2. The stat for Game 5s when the series is tied 2-2. Game 5 winner usually takes the series 74.2% of the time with a 23-8 record. So the winner tonight will be in the driver's seat, set on Friday Thought Oklahoma City would win the game. They came out victorious. I told you, Mark Daigneault, it was time to make that switch. Time to take Case and Wallace out of that starting lineup, which is what we've seen games 1 through 3, and put back in Isaiah Hartenstein. And they did that, and I thought it was a big boost for them. I mean, Isaiah Hartenstein, the dude's one of the best screeners in the game. So when you have somebody like that, and he's a very underrated defender, so when he's out here giving your guys just a little bit more space, Aaron Nesmith, Andrew Nembhard, both of those guys are clamp defenders, and Jalen Williams and SGA could use more space with Isaiah Hartenstein type screens. They got that in game 4, and they came through. Jalen Williams is incredible. He's one of my favorite players to watch. Like, his skill level is elite. Some of the shots that he makes, the layup packages that he has, it's not Kyrie, but he has a lot of Kyrie in his game with his finishes. Driving to the right, keeping it in one hand, layup. Driving to the left, keeping it in one hand, layup. Switching it around midair. Solid hang time. Like, he was really good for the Thunder for the first 3 quarters. I thought Alex Caruso was incredible, had some huge buckets, solid defensive moments, but the MVP came through at the end. SGA, 15, 16 points in the fourth quarter, getting to his spots. There was a couple of plays that were a little questionable. They missed a travel on SGA. That was huge, which I think he got hit off balance because of a foul that wasn't called, but you got to call one of them. You can't allow him to travel into a jump shot that he knocks down 7 out of 10 times, because that's his game in the mid-range. But other than that, he was great. And that's what you got to do when you're an MVP. That's what you got to be able to take over the games when your team asks you to. He did that. And I think the Pacers, I wouldn't say they're in trouble, but they're not in a good spot. Like, they needed that game 4, to go up 3-1, so they would feel really confident about closing it out in the next 3 games. And now, tied series, losing the home court advantage back to OKC. It's going to be an interesting game tonight to see how Indiana bounces back. Now, when you have guys like McConnell and you got guys like Mathurin, who was awful in game 4, Mathurin missed way too many free throws, had some really bad fouls before the ball was even put in play, which gives the opposing team a free throw, then the ball back. So he had a couple of those mishaps that wasn't good, but they're capable. Obi Toppin, he's had a good series. He's capable. Our boy Miles Turner's really struggled, Chip. He cannot find his outside shot. And I thought Hartenstein coming in kind of really put him in a bind with just, you get used to a certain lineup for the first 3 games. They make that move. I thought Miles Turner struggled a little bit because of it. And again, you've got to give credit to Mark Daigneault and the Thunder for making those adjustments that you have to make. That's just a part of the game. But the Pacers really could use a good night from Miles Turner offensively. His defense has been solid. If he could step out and knock down a couple of threes and space the floor just a little bit more for Tyrese Halliburton and the rest of those guards to get to the lane, then Indiana has a chance. But if Miles Turner continues to shoot the way that he is, OKC, that gives them the advantage there. So I don't know who I want.
He is 2 of 15 from 3
Not good.
in the last 3 games.
Not good.
0 of 6 in game 4.
Yeah. He looks tired. Like, a lot of these guys have never played this amount of games before. Like, this is a lot to go through a rigorous 82-game season, to win 12 games leading up to the finals. That's a lot. That takes a lot out of you. You have to be durable. Your stamina has to be A1. And if you're not used to it and you're not built for it, then you could get caught slipping. And Miles Turner, as in shape as he is, never played this amount of games in his life. He's 10 years in the league, so there's a lot of miles on that body, no pun intended. The dude's legs look gone. The dude looks like he has 0 legs right now. I feel for the guy, but if Pacers want to win a championship, they're going to need him.
Well, he's making his free throws, which is good, but he needs to quit shooting the three, which I know they need him.
That's his game.
To make some of those because he spreads the floor. But yeah, he's shooting 20% from three in the finals, and he was 31.8% from three against the Knicks. So whereas against Cleveland, he was 56.3% from three. So yeah, it's falling off. It's gone from 56% shooting to 31.8% shooting from three to 20% shooting from three for Miles Turner.
It's tough, man.
So you might be right about his legs.
If he could go 3 for 7 tonight from three, that'd be huge. That'd be huge because right now, Rick Carlisle might be better off playing a lineup with Siakam and Toppin as your 4 and 5 at times, just because those guys, they've been more productive on the outside. Obi Toppin's been really good. He's been good. I thought he kind of crashed out and lost his mind when he pushed Hartenstein, because that was a tough foul that he had on Caruso, and Hartenstein did the right thing by, having his teammates back. But yeah, Game 4 was theirs. They were up by double digits, and SGA just started taking over and getting to the line and getting to his spots, and just it's tough. Like when the MVP wants to be an MVP, they can turn it on, and SGA is doing elite stuff right now. Check out this stat: players to average 30 points, 5 assists, and 5 rebounds in the 20-game playoff run in the history of the NBA. Nikola Jokic, Giannis, Kobe, LeBron, Michael Jordan, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Yeah. So this whole we hate SGA thing, and he's a free throw merchant, and he's bad for the game. That list that I just named, are those guys bad for the game? Because all those dudes, they got their jackets in Springfield already. Like that, those are Hall of Famers. Those are some of the greatest to ever do it that SGA's in that same category with. So I instead of hating, embrace it. Embrace that he's so smart. Sometimes he can manipulate the refs and manipulate the game. Jordan did it. Kobe did it. I've seen Bron do it. Like the greatest are just a step ahead of the game to where if you're an opposing team and if that guy's not on your team, I could understand the hate because you wonder why it comes so easy for them. And that's what SGA is. He just makes the game look so easy. And he could get you into foul trouble. Sometimes it could be a little extreme, but those fouls that he got in Game 4, they were all fouls. And him being crafty allowed the Pacers to foul him. Like he's that crafty. It's going to happen. You got to be more sound. You got to be more disciplined. But easier said than done.
Well, and guess who else was money in Game 4 for the Thunder?
That bald SOB.
Alex Caruso.
That bald SOB, man.
7 of 9 shooting, 20 points. That guy just knows where to go, how to get his shots. I mean, the Pacers didn't score a point for 3 minutes in the fourth quarter of that game. Like, I get that in a college game, holding the team without a point for 3 minutes, but in the NBA, and that was it. That was the run.
Yeah, you get tight. Like,
You're
and
playing
their
at home.
defense is good. Yeah. The Thunder, their defense is really good. You know, you can't really hide anybody on your offense because their defense is so good. It's hard to attack a specific player or, go after certain matchups because everybody on the Thunder, when they're all locked in, they can hold their own. So it's you can get in those droughts, and as good as Siakam and Halliburton are, sometimes if you don't got that hot hand, you can look how you did in game 4. Now you're wondering what happened going back to OKC. Like, can Indiana get over that? Do they have the mental toughness to take that haymaker that they got in game 4? Do they have the toughness to come through tonight in game 5? I could see it getting ugly tonight. I could see OKC just rolling, especially with this new lineup. Well, it's not technically new, but in the finals, it's new, putting Hartenstein back in that starting lineup. Now, Chet Holmgren, you talk about being durable this time of the year. Chet Holmgren, you pray and hope that he can make it if you have to play 3 games, the next 3 games. Because it seemed like every time Chet Holmgren fell, he got up grimacing. He was tweaking his ankle every other play. Like, that dude, he's feeling the wear and tear of being in the finals and what it takes to get there. All the games, just all the energy. Chet Holmgren, those tall, skinny guys with their feet, you always just fear about their future. So you hope Chet Holmgren, if you're an OKC fan, knock on wood, that dude will be available, because that guy, just seeing him walk to the locker room, like everybody was high-fiving and beating their chests and stuff. Chet Holmgren, he was, head dragging, feet dragging. He looked winded. So that 2 days that they have in between game 4 and 5, hopefully these guys get in the tub, get their bodies right, and we see good ball tonight. It's been a good series. I thought the series was going to be good. It's been everything as advertised. We've had game winners. It seems like every game's been pretty close for the most part. I like this finals. This has been a solid finals.
Yeah. Well, I will be dialed into that. And we just had some history made at the College World Series. A no-hitter from Arkansas's Gage Wood. 19 strikeouts. Are you kidding me?
He played the full 9?
Played the full 9. Gage Wood. Wow. Played the full 9. He had 19 strikeouts, no walks, no hits, obviously. If he hit one batter, or it would have been a perfect game.
Is that the dude that Texas faced on the Friday night to open that series? Was that their main guy?
Let's see.
They couldn't touch.
I'm trying to remember if that was. I know they ran into him. I'm just trying to remember which night it was. Let's see here. Zach Root beat him on Friday.
Okay.
And then Gage Wood beat him on Saturday when Arkansas won 6-1. Gage Wood in that game went 4 innings against Texas, gave up 1 run on 2 hits with 9 strikeouts. Today, it's the first no-hitter. The first no-hitter at the College World Series since 1960.
Jeez.
And 19 strikeouts. Good heavens. That is filthy. And so Arkansas stays alive.
Yeah, man. You don't touch your bullpen. They don't
Yeah.
at all. That's huge for the rest of the College World Series. I mean, I don't know where Gage Woods is going to be if you, are looking to call on him anytime. Like, I'm sure that arm's going to need a lot of ice on it. But, yeah, very impressive. Like, keeping your team alive by throwing a no-hitter in an elimination game.
Elimination game.
You got to have cojones to do that.
Yeah, he's done his part. Now Arkansas will they'll play the loser of tonight's game between UCLA and LSU. LSU's already beaten Arkansas once. So that could be something. That could be some SEC on SEC crime again.
Yeah.
SEC's, how many teams they get in? 13 into the postseason, and
2 made it.
2 are in the final 6. And they could be canceling. One of them could be canceling the other out. And everyone's waiting for Dave Van Horn, the coach at Arkansas, to win one because he's always got a top-ranked team. He's always got a team that's in the mix. He's got great pitching this year. He's got that shortstop you like so much, Aloha or whatever, the twin
brother.
Yeah, the twins from Hawaii.
That dude's good, man.
Aloys.
Here.
Yeah, man. You got Wahea Aloy, who was 2 for 5 today, and then you got Kuhio Aloy, who was 0 for 3.
Yep, Calabunga.
Yeah. How about that action?
Yeah, good.
Hey, man.
All right, we got to talk about this, man. So I want to be like everybody else. I want to get on this Arch Media just freight train and Arch Manning from Heisman, Arch Manning #1 pick, Arch Manning national championship. In a perfect world, that sounds spectacular. I want to be like y'all. I want to have all that faith and optimism. But some just holding me back. It's natural. I feel like it's natural, me holding back. Be like, all right, let's just wait and see. Before we give Arch all of this love and all of these flowers, let's wait and see first, because that's a lot to put on the young man, even though we know what the last name stands for. But, Chip, this picture went viral this weekend because Arch Manning is down in St. Louis because Ryan Wingo had his football camp, St. Louis native. They got Arch Manning in the ghetto. It went viral, something about Arch Manning in the trenches, Greer Ave. They got Arch Manning Greer Ave, which looks like the ghetto to me. But Arch Manning being here says something to me. Not only is he supporting his teammate and friend Ryan Wingo at his football camp in his hometown where he grew up, St. Louis, Missouri, but Arch is out here with the people. You know what I'm saying? Like, really with the people. Not many folks like St. Louis. If you know St. Louis, I want to say once upon a time, it was considered the murder capital of the world.
East St. Louis.
Yeah, East St. Louis. I don't know what part of St. Louis Greer Ave is on, but St. Louis, it ain't Westlake. That's for sure. It's one of those places where heads got to be on the swivel because you better watch out. But Arch being here with the people, probably the only white folk in the vicinity, signing autographs, hanging out, probably at the cookout. They probably gave him some ribs, some barbecue. This shows me a lot.
Yeah.
This shows me a lot. You know what I'm saying? Arch is okay. Now my belief in him has gone up a level. I'm not as far
Okay.
as everybody else. I'm
That's
not,
what it took, huh?
just a level, just a level. But this shows me the kind of person he is. Because again, not a lot of people would do this. And for him to be comfortable in this atmosphere says just how down he is and the type of person that he is and the type of leader he is. You know, Colin Simmons, he was another player that was at Ryan Wingo's football camp. Like, I really appreciate this. Like, all jokes considered, like, I really appreciate Arch doing something like this. And nah, Chan, he ain't have no bodyguards around. Arch was there, solo dolo with his teammate. That's it. His bodyguard was Ryan Wingo. Ryan Wingo has enough, you know, street cred out in those St. Louis streets. Nothing gonna happen to Arch. But yeah, I don't know if Sark called Ryan Wingo was like, yo, can we get Arch out of there? Can we get Arch out the hood, please? That's a lot of money in the hood. That's a lot of money you got, Arch in the hood, man. We got dudes calling birds and stuff. Like, it's like training day. You got to be careful with Arch there. But Arch was like, I'm cool. These my people. I'm from New Orleans. This ain't nothing I have never seen before. You know?
You think Sark called Ryan Wingo and said, "Hey, can we get Arch out the hood?"
It
I was just
probably
looking.
went through Sark's mind, like, okay, let's make sure Arch is cool. You know, nobody tries to run a stick-up job on Arch or anything. Make sure. But again, Ryan Wingo was probably on the other side of the picture. You know what I'm saying? Like Ryan Wingo, it's one of those, yo, this is my brother. Ain't nothing gonna happen to you because I got enough love here in the neighborhood that you're gonna be taken care of. So I'm sure Arch felt quite comfortable, which is why he pulled up in the hood. You know? Yeah, that's legendary. Yeah, that's I've already had respect for Arch Manning, but now that respect has gone up another notch.
I just did a Google search of Greer Avenue in St. Louis, and it said one resident stated the neighborhood is scary and needs revitalization with a lot of crime and vacant lots.
Hell yeah.
So
yeah, man. My man Arch, he was out
he's
here.
He's in the hood.
He's in the hood, yeah. He's in the hood.
Arch is in the hood.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
Oh,
I'm sure it's very different than Isidore Newman, but still, like, Arch ain't scared. Arch ain't scared. So if Arch could be there, he ain't worried about A&M. He ain't worried about Oklahoma. He ain't worried about Georgia. He there on Greer Street. No bodyguards, no security. Just standing there with the people. You see them kids? Did you see those kids in the photo?
Yes.
Look at the children. Let's bring that back. Look at the kids.
There's even two kids in the way off background that are looking on. You know what I mean?
No, them kids right there, man. I wouldn't babysit those kids on my best day. You kidding me? Look at those kids' faces.
You think
faces?
They're coming for blood?
My man on the right throwing up hook 'em. Yo, that kid's seen some things. That kid's seen some. That kid
is 4.
And he's probably seen some stuff. He probably sees that kid's tough.
That kid's tough as nails.
Watch out for that kid 15 years
Rex
later.
says those 2 kids are out on parole.
That ain't right, Rex. I ain't say all that. I'm just saying them kids probably seen some stuff.
Hey, Ryan, this is Sark. Can we get Arch out of the hood, please? Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. All right, let's bring
them guys.
Let's bring him in.
Funny.
Patrick, and Matt.
What's up,
Do
guys?
you want to know a tip of how to get out of a dangerous neighborhood if you're in a town you don't know?
What's that?
Just hit the GPS, Barnes and Nobles. Take you right out.
They got Barnes and Nobles in the ghetto.
No, they don't. They barely got Barnes and Nobles in nice places. There's like 12 left. You'll be fine.
Folks in the ghetto read, Patrick.
They
Come
do.
on.
They do. There's just not Barnes and Nobles there. They read, of course. You know, put a bookstore in there.
Oh, that is beautiful. I mean, interesting and telling.
Yeah. Now, the
Revealing.
real question, you got to ask Arch, did he bring his wallet or was his wallet back at the hotel?
And Arch is from New Orleans. He already knows the deal. He's fine.
That's true.
Yeah,
He's from New
That's
Orleans.
what I'm saying. He wasn't phased. Like,
Oh, yeah.
he wasn't
All right,
phased.
No,
fellas.
he knew. Just smile and keep walking. Smile and keep
Yeah.
walking. If
It's
anybody
good.
calls your name and you don't know them, keep walking. Don't turn around. Keep walking.
That's what we'll do. Get out of y'all's way.
Appreciate
See you
you
tomorrow.
guys.
Later, guys.
See y'all tomorrow. Thanks to Chip and Zay. Welcome into Open Gym here on Texas Sports Unfiltered. Myself, Patrick Davis, alongside Matt Galatzan of Texas Longhorns on SI. Ready to get this show rolling on a Monday afternoon. Did you have a good weekend, Matt?
I did. Nice reset. Ready for the week. I'm going to Elite 11 tomorrow.
Nice.
And I'll be there until Thursday night. So doing a couple shows from Cali. Might try to get a beach backdrop for one of the shows.
There
We'll
you
see how
go.
that goes. But yeah, great weekend. How was yours?
It was good, you know. Got to see my dad, see the family for Father's Day. Happy Father's Day again, belated to all the dads out there. But got to see that. So that was good, and then pretty relaxing. Other than that, so nothing too crazy this weekend. I kept it pretty low key. I did get the fun part of seeing my dad this weekend. That I went up and we were talking, and then I was like, "Oh, we're doing this thing on the show, which we're gonna do today. Top 25 plays of the Texas Longhorns football for the last 25 years." And he goes, "Oh yeah, so Vince Young's in there for the 4th and 5." Like, of course that's in there. And he goes, "Yeah, and Stoney Clark too." And I go, "Dad, Stoney Clark was in the 90s." And he goes, "Yeah." And I'm like, 25 years, Dad. He goes, "Yeah." I'm like, year 2000. Like, oh, and then he started cussing. I was pretty upset that the year 2000 was only 25 years ago. It was 25 years. He was, I believe he thought that 25 years. He was like, yeah, like 85, something like that, right? You know, that's how far back 25 years is. So,
Yeah. My after we talked about this on Friday, my dad texted me and said Treadwell and Novus goal line stop against Alabama to win the Orange Bowl in the 60s. It's like, that didn't make the list. Just
just out of it.
just a little outside the 2000s, but that's okay.
Look, I Rex, I'm not age shaming anybody. And the fact that I don't like that it was already 25 years ago was 2000. I'm not a fan of that either.
Guys.
I was telling him, I was like, no, when someone says 20 years ago to me, I still think like 80s. That's 20 years ago. My brain will immediately say 80s were 20 years ago. So I am the same way. It was just funny because I've been doing the list. So I had to be like, no, think about it. And then he just still didn't grasp it right away. And I'm like, I get it, because unless you're actually thinking, you're like, no, we're in the year 2025. That's why it's an easy list. Yes, you had to give the prerequisite. You're like, the end of Applewhite and Sims. That's where we're aiming. The end of Applewhite and Sims was where we're at to the start of this list.
Yeah, I got my my invitation for my 25th or my 20th high school reunion the other day. That was a blow to the gut right there.
Yeah, I think mine was a few years ago. And I did not go. I was never like, no, that was it was not anything that I was thrilled about or thought would be a really fun time. You're just like, so a bunch of people that I've pretty much chosen not to speak to for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
Gonna go hang, like, I don't know. I've moved on. I don't need to go back to it. I didn't necessarily if they were like old friends and stuff, but I haven't kept up. I don't think anybody from my high school.
I mean, the people that I keep up with from high school are, I think there's like 3 or 4 of them, maybe, max, and that's on purpose.
Yeah.
I already have a small group of friends. Like, you know, I'm very, particular about who I spend my time with. So the idea of going and spending time with 460 people that I haven't spoken to in 20 years just doesn't really appeal to me very much.
No, I think it was a thing where it was like, it was at some place. It all felt like whoever was setting it up was setting it up to sell us something too. That was the other weird part about it. It didn't feel like it was a fun place to be at, where you're like, hey, we're gonna do it. And then you look at where the restaurant is, like, those drinks are like $15 pop. I'm gonna have to get loaded to have any fun at this. Yeah. and I don't want to walk in loaded. That's a different type of thing. If I just get gradually drunker throughout the night, that I feel I could manage. But if I show up just raging, then they're like, that guy's got a massive drinking problem. So I thought, so you know what, I'll just go ahead and pass on that one as well. But yeah, good weekend overall. Wait, go ahead.
I was going to say your 5th high school reunion, that's probably okay.
Yeah.
Your 20th, 25th, that's probably a concern.
Yeah, no, that one is like, I think if you had like a class that was like under 100 people, maybe then it'll be a little bit more, you know, you'd be like, oh, I remember all these people. But there'd be people I'd be like, I genuinely have zero memories of you as a person. Our class is just too big. I don't know. I never knew you existed as far as I know. So why are we talking now? We don't need to do it. But overall, a good weekend. We saw the NBA Finals get evened up at 2-2. Want to get into that. There was a trade in the NBA, so there's more trade talk to get into today. More NFL camps. The Rams are having a really tough time at their camp in Maui. So the Rams had a hard time at their mandatory mini camp. LA wasn't cool enough for them. They had to go all the way out to Maui to do their camp. So we'll get into all of that a little bit later in the show. But as we mentioned earlier, we put out on Friday, we put together our list of the top 25 plays of the last 25 years. We put it out to social media over the weekend. I reached out to some other people and tried to see if there was any others. Basically, I've got one more name that we can discuss being on the list, but I'm pretty there. Did you have any other ones that popped up over this weekend?
I really couldn't find any other ones.
No, and I didn't have anybody come up with anything that was over the top. There was a few people that had some, but they were, they were just not really, like, they were good plays, but they're not iconic or anything else. And they were just kind of plays that meant something to that person, or they were at the game or whatever. It was cool, but they're not going to actually, they couldn't knock anything off of the list, the play. My favorite was there's somebody who wanted to get a play of Bijan when Bijan made a big 75-yard touchdown run that got called back because he stepped out of bounds. And they're like, that should be on there. Like, but he got stepped out of bounds. The play itself was not that entertaining. Like the post play and what they said was after it was fun, but I can't put it on because it was a call that was called to use out.
Yeah, the only person that I really wanted to find a play for that I couldn't really find one for was Cedric Benson, who I have an autographed picture of right here. But I couldn't think of a play or find a play that was like iconic. Like, he was just really, really good. He had a lot of really good games, but I couldn't find, like, even in that Michigan game, the Rose Bowl, like, he had an awesome game that day, but Vince Young just completely outshined everything he did.
Yeah, exactly.
So it was kind of hard to find that, iconic Cedric Benson play.
Yeah, but I'm with you on that. So the one play that I thought we could discuss putting in, Danny Davis over at Statesman put this one out on X, was that Jordan Whittington chased down forced fumble against TCU in 23.
Ooh,
was just like rewatching that play. And then, it was in the first quarter, so it wasn't necessarily like the game altering, but Texas ended up winning that game by 3. And that could have been a 6-point swing because Texas ends up getting a field goal on that drive. Other ways it would have been, if he just tackles him, it's probably a field goal the other way. So, everything changes because that's the first quarter, but technically that could have been the game deciding play. And rewatching that play was rewatching Jordan Whittington fly through and swat the ball. Like, he tries to make a tackle. He dives to make a tackle, and then you're like, was this the right play? And then he gets back up and chases him down and gets the forced fumble, and Worthy falls on it. So that one is one that I'm like, it is a great play. It's a Jay-Witt play to put on there too, which is another guy when we talk about players that really transformed Texas in these years. I think the Jay-Witt play is possible to get onto that list, but I don't know what we knock off if we do that. So we just have to look at our list and say, is there something that can get knocked off for Jay Witt doing that, because I think that is a good shout. That's a really good play. And it's one of those plays that deserves to be on a list because it is eccentric and odd.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't expect to see it. And so I think it fits well on a top 25 list because it is just so much fun. So I don't know what we're going to knock off, though.
Yeah, I can't think of anything you can really knock off for that. One of the things about that play that makes it difficult to put on the list, obviously, is that it is a first quarter play and the game's already, it's not really going one way or the other yet.
Yeah.
A lot of these plays change the trajectory of the game in the second half or later, or were game winners. So it's kind of hard to knock one of those off. I mean, honestly, if you want to pick a play from that game too, you could take the one where Ewers launches it to Adonai Mitchell and he makes that insane catch too. That saved their season. So I have a hard time thinking of which one we can knock off for that. That's a really good pick, though. I like that pick.
It is. I'm trying to figure out where we can go. We did have the Jordan Shipley 46-yard punt return versus Texas Tech that we said was at the end of our list. We may knock that one off for it because we've already got another Shipley return on there. So I think we could knock off that one and then push in the Jay Witt play. So I'm going to do that so we can get Jay Witt on our list. But I think this is a pretty good top 25. Now the ranking is what I wanted to do today. And it's kind of ranked, but not really, because a lot of these things could move a lot of spots. One of the ones that I heard a ton was the Lindale White stop. The fourth and one stop in the play. And I do not agree that it should be number 2 on the list. That is remarkably too high on this list for me to put it on there. I get that it's a very important play, but that to me falls into the living in the moment. And I just want to ask the people who suggested it, was like, you hate Quinn Ewers, don't you? You've hated every team since 05, haven't you? It just feels like that's the type of person. So I don't know. I have no idea. I'm just making broad assumptions that this is somebody who has not enjoyed the last few years still of us being good, but not quite getting there. Because if you're like number 1 and number 2 are from 05, that's a little much for me.
Yeah, I kind of feel like that's like, I could probably make the argument that that's like the 4th or 5th best play in that game.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. There is other plays.
Yeah.
I get to, like, you want to give credit to the defense and you want to do, so I think it's on the list, but I'm not putting, I don't have it in my, it's not, I don't even have it top 10 because I have other things that meant a lot and others, and I just kind of don't like it all the way up there, but it may get in there in the conversation. So I just want to start at the top because we can knock out the first couple. And then I think if we go that route from the top down, then maybe we'll find some plays to move up in there. We'll have to move some things around, but we'll at least kind of set in where we can say number 1 is definitely Vince Young, 4th and 5. We don't have to debate that one. That is which one it is, right?
Yes. Best play in Texas football history right there.
Yeah. So we know that is number 1. Now we come into number 2, and I originally had other pieces and I don't know where, but Quinn Ewers to Matthew Golden may be number 2.
Mm-hmm. I think that's fair.
I have that as number 2. By the way, in the chat, you guys on the text line, if any of this sounds crazy to you, feel free to jump in and voice your opinion that we're lower. We have something ranked way too low or way too high and it shouldn't be there, and tell us why. I've full taken your opinions. This open gym, y'all are part of it, so we want to have y'all's opinion on when we put this ranking out, because we'll just take the flag for it. We will take the flag for it. We'll give you all the credit that y'all suggested a bunch of these, so you guys get a ton of credit for it. We'll take the flag. But if you want to throw out there that any of these rankings are crazy, but I think the Quinn Ewers and Matthew Golden, because it was 4th and 13, because of everything that happened, because of last season, in reality, looking at that play, the season of last season is a failure, and it's one of the biggest upsets it's definitely the biggest upset in the new college football playoff format. And it gives this whole path that, yes, we should, like, it really could have changed the argument of seeding and all of that if Texas actually loses that game. So if Texas loses that game now, well, no, we told you that those guys deserve automatic bids in the Big 12. The Big 12 is just as good as the SEC, and they are just as good. So I think that, like, that conversation's crazy in it. And for Texas, if you make the playoffs and then lose to Arizona State in round 1 because of 2 or 3 blown plays, and some missed field goals. So a couple defensive blows that Cam Scadaboo just played out of his mind, and then you don't have a field goal kicker, and you lose the game. I think it's just such a disappointing end. You lose to Ohio State, but that team turns out to win the national championship. You were right in that game. It just felt like you came up a few inches short. I thought you still should have won that game, but that play, 4th and 13, that to me that's the season saving and kind of Sark saving and college football playoff format saving play to not have that upset.
Yeah, and you take away the stuff about the college football playoff, and it's still one of the biggest plays of Quinn Ewers' career. It kind of helps establish his legacy as one of the best quarterbacks in Texas football history. Matthew Golden, one of the most clutch players in Texas history, that also helps establish his legacy.
He ends up getting drafted to the Packers, which maybe doesn't happen without that. Like, there's a possibility that he's a further down draft pick because they don't look at him and say, this guy's insanely clutch. Look at what he did in the biggest moment of the biggest game.
Yeah. So you take all those things into consideration, and it's really hard to, and the fact that it's in the college football playoff, like a lot of these plays aren't in the playoff. There's still ways that you could find, a path for this team to still succeed and make it to where they're trying to go, if in the vast majority of these games. This is one that if they lose, season's over, championship run's over, everything's done. You're an embarrassment because you're a high seed that got upset by a team that you were favored by. I mean, I think it was it was at least a touchdown. I think it was more than that. It would have been a huge upset in the books as far as Vegas goes. I mean, there's just so many factors there. There's the pressure on that game was so high for them, especially later on, that I don't think that there was a more pressure-packed moment for the Longhorns, especially that season up until that point. But probably in the last few, outside of the final play against Washington and the final play against Ohio State, that's the most pressure-filled moment in Texas football in the last 10 years.
Oh, yeah, and it's different because, I mean, Washington you should have beaten. But Washington, that's a really good football team. And Ohio State, that's a really good football team. Arizona State was not a really good football. They were a good football team, but not really good. You should not have been in that position. The amount of shame and anger and everything else felt in that moment is so much more in the other games where he went, man, good season, but it didn't work out. And that one is, holy crap, we're about to be the butt of the joke for the next 8 months. Mm-hmm. And man, that was a big play. So I'm with you. We can move on from it, but we're both on this saying that is number 2. We still got 23 more to go, so we'll move on from that. But Quinn Ewers to Matthew Golden, 4th and 13 at Arizona State. That's it. That's number 2. All right. Now I think it starts to get a little bit more complicated because we can go a couple different routes here. I had Justin Tucker's game-winning field goal versus Texas A&M. Some people don't believe that's there because it's a field goal. Some people don't want to have a field goal that high either. I just had it because it was such a big moment for Texas football and the rivalry and, everything kind of makes college football great, feels like it's in that moment. And then, not having the game for so many years until then, I put that up pretty high. We could also go Colt McCoy to Quan Cosby, winning in the Fiesta Bowl in 2009. Vince Young to Lima Swede, winning against Ohio State in 2005, leading to the path to get to that national championship game. I think there's some other ones that we can get into if we want to start getting into top games, but I think those are kind of my top ones that would go in for that number 3 spot.
Yeah, I'm fine with Justin Tucker at number 3. I mean, that's huge rivalry game. You're not supposed to win that game. You got Case McCoy at quarterback. He makes an insane play to get you into that position in the first place. If you lose that game, you're on the butt of the joke with Aggies for 11 years, 12 years up until that game in November this past year. And you have to listen to them for that entire time saying, we beat you guys the last time we played. This is our rivalry and all that kind of stuff. And that was also a legacy play for Justin Tucker. I mean, we can't really talk about Justin Tucker's legacy anymore, but at that point, it was it was one of the most clutch kicks in the history of Texas football, and it was against your arch rival. So I think it's well deserving of a number 3 spot.
All right. So then do you want to go with one of those two, Colt McCoy to Quan Cosby or Vince Young to Lima Swede? One is an 09 Fiesta Bowl. One is a part of the championship season. It's early in the championship season, but it's in that championship season. Or is there somewhere else you like to go on this list? You can go on. By the way, if you don't see a list, if you go on X, you can just go to Texas Sports Unfiltered X, and I had posted. If you follow the link that I had posted, I've got them all up on that list as well. The only thing that's different is Jordan Whittington's going to be on that list, but 24 of the 25 are on there, and that Jordan Whittington one will be near the end anyway. But the list is up online, so you can see all of the plays that are up there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I want to go Colt McCoy to Quan Cosby because I think Colt McCoy deserves to be in the top 4 of this list. He's right behind Vince is the best quarterback ever in the history of the program. So yeah. I think having him up in the top 4, he's got to have another one before one before Vince has 2, in my opinion. So that's kind of my deciding factor.
I think this also puts Quan Cosby up there, who's an amazing player. And this is also kind of Mac's second run where we get to that next national championship game. We know what ends up happening in it. I still think Texas wins against Alabama if Colt McCoy's healthy, but this kind of setting the stage, the Fiesta Bowl win, to get you where you're like getting those last recruits to get you where you need to be able to go compete for that national title again in a couple of years. So I think that one to me is the setup of the next Mac Brown run that should have ended in another title if Colt doesn't get hurt. Let's throw this back in there. Are you putting that stop for Lindale White in the top 5, top 10?
I don't even think that's the second best play in that game. So I have a hard time making it top 5.
Okay. I'm with you. I'm trying to put out there, and anybody in the chat, in the text line, I'll check the text line real quick, make sure we're not getting anything crazy. And I say, we see a KD Spurs talk on there. We'll get to that later in the show. All right. On the text line. We'll get to that a little bit later in the show. But we can get into, so do you want to go here? Do you want to go that Vince Young to Lima Swede against Ohio State in 05 before they go on to win that national championship? It's a big play. It's a fun play. That makes it 23-22 in the game. That is the big go-ahead touchdown. There's some other stuff on there. There's the Cameron Dicker 40-yard game-winning field goal against OU. The Ethan Burke when he stops Amari Daniels to seal the win versus A&M. Vince Young's 4th and 18 against Kansas in 04. Then we've got Deontay Foreman's big game, Roy Williams' big game, some Jordan Shipley. The Jordan Shipley 94-yard kickoff return. That's a big one because Texas was down 14-3. So there's still a lot of big ones that are on this list.
And you can overrule me here, but I kind of want to go Jordan Shipley against Oklahoma.
I can go with that. For sure.
I think that if that doesn't happen, Texas goes on to get routed in that game because it completely changes the momentum of the game. Yeah. And then they don't even have a shot at the national title later on down the line. Even though they ended up, missing it that year, that was the moment that really they after that game, they were ranked number 1 and they pretty much ran the table all the way to that Texas Tech game. And they were in position to play for a national title. And that was the play that kind of started it all, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm fine with that one. That's why I started to go down because I figured like once we get past that one, I think we start to go into a little bit more of not top 10 plays, but are really good ones. But I don't think anything below that is necessarily going to get into our top 10. But so we'll go with that one. So that's our number 5 is Jordan Shipley's 94-yard kickoff return touchdown versus OU in 08. Texas was down 14-3 at the time. That he makes that big run. And yeah, it just completely shifted everything in that game. So I'm with you. I'm with that being 5. That's what I said. This was not an original. It was kind of a rough outline because it's really hard to rank these.
It's really hard.
And by the way, it's going to get really hard when we get later on too. Because they're like, well, is that 219 or 22? But it's Monday during the off season. So we can get into it now when we have the time. So number 6, where do you like going for number 6?
I'm fine with Vince to Limas at number 6.
Okay. Yeah, it's another big game. This is championship season. This is a huge game getting ahead there. So just trying to push that one forward. So Vince Young, the Lima Swede, the go-ahead 24-yard touchdown versus Ohio State in 05. That makes it 23-22 in that game. If Texas doesn't win that, this list changes. Mm-hmm. This entire list changes dramatically. Mac Brown, I mean, hell, we don't even know if Mac Brown's still there. And, in 2010, 2011, because he doesn't win a national title.
I mean, I think he's still there, but
I do, but I'm just saying it
definitely changes his legacy.
Yeah, recruiting changes and everything else changes because you're not then a national championship team with one of the most electric plays of all time on that list. And Rodney, no, I don't want to imagine that. We did have a troll, Rodney, on our X have to post the Roy Williams sack of Chris Sims. He's like, you forgot this. I'm like, I did. Trust me, no Longhorn has forgotten that play. We just choose not to celebrate it.
I will never forget that play. I was sitting in the end zone of the Cotton Bowl with my dad at that game, and I watched that happen live. It's burned into my memory.
Yeah, it's seared in all of our brains. We're good. We don't need a reminder of it. All right, going into number 7. Do we want to go with another field goal here? Speaking of OU, giving that change in momentum back to Texas a little bit in 2018 and seeing Dicker the kicker, does that fall a little bit lower? We want Ethan Burke. We go another Aggie one. We're just making fun of Aggies. Ethan Burke sealing the deal versus A&M. And that one I get, like I saw some people being like, well, that wasn't even like we would have won that game no matter what. I'm like, I don't know. Like there was enough games in Texas in all these seasons where if Texas doesn't get that because it's a 1-score game and anything can happen. Because it's like a 3-point game if they go in the end zone. If he doesn't stop him, they're in the end zone, and it's a whole different game. They end up stopping him. It's a huge play, but that also was like the sigh of relief of, okay, we're in the SEC championship. We're moving on. Here we go. And I think it just encapsulates. It's kind of like the Justin Tucker field goal. You're not even just putting in the play. You're kind of putting in the entirety of everything of that game. And that was just the standout finishing blow of we beat you going out, we beat you coming back in. So I think that's on the list. I don't know if it goes up as high. We saw the Vince Young 4th and 18. That's another one that's going to be up there in 04. Then we also like Roy Williams and Dante Foreman's games of just the insane games that those guys had. And the big plays in those games are both on that list as well. The Vince Young pump fake on the 80-yard touchdown run, which still is, I believe, the play that we've heard the story about, that he went in the locker room and Mac Brown was yelling and he turned the music back on, was like, I got this. And then 2 plays later makes a run. Yeah. So I think that all of those are in there. I'm stopping off at Jaron Thompson's interception versus Alabama in 23 because we didn't make it all the way that year. So I don't have that one all the way up there, but I think that'll be probably starting in that lower part of the list. But we can go somewhere else. Where do you look at it?
Okay, so we're taking into account like big games from players, right? Like that counts as
So when we put the Deontay Foreman 74-yard touchdown run, he also ran for 341 yards in that game. So it's why that run is so iconic. It's because it's part of a 341-yard game. And Roy Williams had his 181-yard 2-touchdown game versus in the Cotton Bowl versus LSU, where it was a massive game for Roy Williams, but he was a runaround. So the plays are still really epic, but then you add in the totality of what they did that day, kind of to add into the highlight of when you watch and you're like, this guy's just torching this team.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we should try to fit, and this could make things more complicated, so I apologize if it does. But I was just thinking about that Cameron Dicker field goal against OU.
Yeah.
And Sam Ehlinger had 5 touchdowns in that game.
He did.
And some of them were pretty big. That kind of changes. I just kind of thought about this. It kind of changes my thought process about that whole game. Like, could we find a play for Sam in there? Like, I feel like Sam deserves a spot on this list. I feel like that game might be the best game he ever played for Texas in terms of just like clutch factor, because he carried that entire team that day. I mean, he did that a lot, but that day specifically, I mean, he's responsible for 35 of their 48 points. So, I don't know. That's a conversation we could probably have later on down the list, I suppose.
Yeah, but I mean, I think we need to have it while we have it because it may not. I mean, yeah, because I don't like having. I don't know. Let me see if I can pull up real quick. Well, that wasn't even the same game. I had 2018 on this list, but it wasn't 2018, was it?
Yeah, it was 2018. The 48-45 Texas win.
Oh, okay. It showed me the wrong thing. Okay. Give me a second. It was showing me. I was like, that's not right. This is the fun of live things, right, guys? Live things. Yeah, let me look real quick if we can see in the play-by-play and the scoring plays. Let's see our scoring plays real quick.
So in that game, he was 24 of 35 for 314 yards, 2 touchdowns, ran 19 times for 72 yards and 3 touchdowns. He also had 1 catch for 8 yards. He literally did everything in that game.
Yeah, he was dominant in that game. What sucks about it too is that that really it shouldn't have been close because you could like if you put it in, you go Sam Ehlinger throws a touchdown to Lil Jordan Humphrey. They're up 45-24 at that point.
Yeah, they almost blew it.
Yeah, so it is one of those things looking back on it where you're like, I don't know, because there's not like the play where he had the go ahead one and it feels great because they just had to come back at the end and kick the field goal to win it. But that was after 3 straight Oklahoma scores.
Yeah, okay, let's go with Dicker. Let's go with Dicker.
All right. So we'll put Dicker in there in a nod to Sam Ehlinger. Sam's gonna find a way into my honorable mentions. My honorable mentions is gonna get really big, but but we're gonna move Cameron Dicker in there at 7, with Dicker the kicker being named there. Gotta put him in there. Let's go in with where do we want to go for number 8 on this list? I've still got Ethan Burke. I've got Vince Young 4th and 18. The Deontay Foreman's 74-yard run in the 341-yard game. The Roy Williams 39-yard end-around touchdown in the Cotton Bowl. Vince Young pump fake. Texas stops Lindale White on 4th down. All those still in there.
What about Sergio Kendall against Texas Tech?
Okay. Go down.
Because I think that that was the best defensive play that team made in their championship run.
I mean, it is a intense highlight too, because he destroys him.
Yeah, and that completely took the breath out of Texas Tech in that game. There was no coming back from that after that play.
I'm all right. I'm down with that. I got that in there at 8. Yeah, because it is just a fun highlight to watch. It is one of those ones, like even the announcers, like in Texas has the ball. Like, good Lord, you could he took the air out of the stadium, took the air out of the announcers. It was just such a big hit by Sergio Kendall. So I'm good with that one being there in 09 when Texas ramping things back up again. Where do we want to go at number 9?
I'm good with, let's say Vince 4th and 18.
4th and 18 there, hitting the ball. 4th and 18 in the final minutes, because again, this is a big one in your season. And I mean, like, there's a lot of these. It's hard because there are some other ones where people are like, well, you could put this one where if we don't win this game, that we're not in it. And so there's a lot of these, and I just don't feel like it's like there's one against, I think, K-State where there's a goal line stop. And so there's some of them in there that we probably could put in, but it's going to be, I think the list is what I'm pretty happy with the list because I don't want to try and go through and litigate it much more. Because also it's like so many of those games are in like the same 3-year spans. Mm-hmm. And so it's kind of like your list is like you're just leaving off, 6-7 years. So it gets a little tough. And Kendall's hit his likely targeting. Yeah, it probably is targeting today. I do think he leaves his feet in that one.
Yeah, so probably roughing the passer if it's not targeting.
Yes, it's something. They would have thrown it. A flag would have 100% been thrown. Whether they pick it up or not is a different question. But a flag would have 100% been thrown because, it was one of those hits on a quarterback. We just come around the side. But luckily back then you could do that. All right, let's go to number 10. Do we put Lindale White, the stopping Lindale White, as a top 10 play? Do we put Ethan Burke as a top 10 play? Where do we want to go? Jaron Thompson's interception versus Alabama. Where do you want to go? So there's plenty more on here. Where do you want to go for the number 10 play?
Let's go. Considering the gravity of the stop, I think we go with Lindale White.
Okay, so we'll go Lindale White, throw that in, and it'll be a top 10 play because it is play number 10, so we can throw that one in there.
Yeah, and if they don't make that stop, they lose the title. So
yeah, exactly. It is a monumental play in Texas history, for sure. So it is going to be on our list at number 10. All right, let's keep rolling on down. We're out of the top 10 now. Do you want to go? Where do you want to go right now for number 11? What are you feeling right now, Matt?
Let me look at this list again. Maybe Vince Young pump fake.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good one.
Yeah, I think Vince Young pump fake's the way to go. Because that's arguably the best comeback I've ever seen. So in person. So
yeah, it is. And with the story, if that, I got to find the rest of that. I got to find that whole clip of somebody telling that story about Vince Young because that's solid stuff. Let's go on to number 12. Are we getting into the great performances yet? Are we getting into maybe what are you feeling?
I think that all right. No, I see. Like, I want to have that play at like 25 because of the rest of the season. So I'm gonna make a hot take pick here.
Okay.
I'm gonna go Chris Sims to Roy Williams 2 plays after popping his finger back in.
Okay. All
ultimate tough guy moment for a guy who got crapped on his entire career for being soft.
I like it. I like that. I'm not going to put it in top 15. I think it's like 15 at best.
Okay.
Just haven't watched it because it is cool and it's fun to watch, but it is like, and also the highlight of it, you can't, I don't know, maybe because I'm going to try and see if I can find a way to clip highlights and put them up somewhere. But it's that one you have to clip like 2 highlights because they pop the finger back in and then it's like 2 more plays and then he does it. But he is being a badass in it, but the play itself, because the Nebraska game, it's a little bit bigger, but I don't know if it carries the weight of other things. I do like it. I think I'd put it around 15. I think I'd put it around 15.
Okay. Then let's go with how about the Cole Pittman taking a knee to keep the score at 44.
That is one of those really cool moments in Texas history. I think that falls in right there because it is just such a, to have the wherewithal to have it happen. And then, watching the team. And again, that is really like a young team that you're watching mature in front of you. That's going to turn into something really great in a few years, but this is turning the corner of that. And, to see the moment, which is basically a score. If you don't remember the play, they score a touchdown to get the score to 44 and then send the extra point unit out. And they ask Mac Brown if they could kneel the ball instead of kicking the extra point. The game's well in hand. And it's seconds left and they're up by 30 something points. So it is not a problem. Maybe 40 points at that point. So there's no problem. And they take the knee and then they all hold up their fingers as 4s. And it takes the announcers a minute to get what's happening. And then they say what's happening on the sideline and just a big emotional moment. So a really cool thing in Texas history. And it is kind of one of those pivotal things of the Mac Brown era taking a turn into being a more legit, like conscientious team than, and I mean, it was already that way with Major Applewhite and Sims in the late 90s. But I think that was one of those, you could tell things were turning even more. That maybe you're not in the Holiday Bowl soon. And we saw the results in the next few years, especially when Vince got there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think that's a good one to have there. It's just,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, and it's just such a heartfelt moment. You got to have some heartfelt moments in there. I think this is probably the biggest one we've had in a long time.
All right. So I'm going to go. Here's for the next three. Hear me out for these next three. I'm going to go Roy Williams 39-yard end around in the Cotton Bowl because it was just electric. And watching that play is really fun. And then everything he did. Then the Dante Foreman 74-yard touchdown run after losing a shoe, where they pull off his shoe and he goes 74 yards, ends up with 341 yards in that game. And then we'll go with the Chris Sims to Roy Williams at number 15. How does that sound?
Perfect.
So that'll get us to number 15 on our list. So let me make sure that my list is looking right here so I don't mess anything up, because I'll forget all of this and I'll have to go back and watch it again later. And I don't want to have to go back and watch this whole show again later. All right. So now we are number 16. We've still got some big stuff on the board. Ethan Burke stopping Amari Daniels to seal the win versus A&M in 24. The Jaron Thompson interception versus Alabama in 23. Bijan Robinson juking for a 32-yard touchdown run versus Kansas. He had 243 yards and 4 touchdowns in that game. Chance Mock's game-winning touchdown pass to B.J. Johnson versus Texas Tech in 03. Jamal Charles, 80-yard touchdown run versus OU in 05. Dusty Mangum's game-winning field goal in the 2005 Rose Bowl versus Michigan. Rob Babers pick 6 on a fake punt in the Big 12 championship in 01 versus Colorado. Tavondre Sweat hitting the Heisman after the 2-yard touchdown catch in the Big 12 championship in 23. Tyrone Swoop's game-winning touchdown run versus Notre Dame in OT in 16, and Jordan Whittington forcing a fumble after an interception versus TCU in 23. That is where we're at right now.
Man, this is getting tough.
I will say this. I might be open to this too, if we want to do this, but it's up to you on this one, is putting Bijan in that same group with Roy Williams and Dante Foreman, because that was another gigantic game, 243 and 4 touchdowns, moving Chris Sims down to 16, but putting that right there. So all three of them are kind of in a row of just.
I'm fine. Yeah, I'm good with that. That's probably my favorite play of Bijan's career. So I think he deserves, considering everything he did, I think he deserves to be in the top 15.
There we go. So it puts him there. Sims is at 16 now. No disrespect to the man Chris Sims at all. We wanted to make sure he was on this list. He gets in for being a tough guy, and John Gruden's going to hate us for it. John Gruden, what a wimp, this guy who just had major surgery and his appendix removed. What a wimp that he doesn't want to go get hit again right away after his appendix burst in a game. So there we go. All right. Where do we look in right here? So we still have some of the more recent ones. I think we know that Jay Witt and Swoops are going to be near the end. I think Tavondre Sweat's going to be near the end too. That is a Big 12 championship. It'll probably be the Rob Babers going to be near the end. So we're really looking here at 4 plays for the next 4, right?
Yeah.
And then we're looking at Burke, Jaron Thompson, Chance Mock, and Jamal Charles for that next 4.
What about Dusty Mangum?
We could put Dusty Mangum up there. That is a big one. It's the 05. All right. I'm up with that one.
Yeah, let's go Dusty Mangum.
Okay. We'll put Dusty Mangum
also,
in there.
Arguably the best name for a kicker in college football history.
I mean, other than Cameron Dicker.
Nah, Dusty Magnum. Because
What
I always called him Dusty Magnum because he just had a magnum for a leg.
Yeah. What if it was Dusty Dicker? Would that?
Ooh, that's tough. That's a tough name.
All right, Dusty Mangum's game winner in the 2005 Rose Bowl versus Michigan, jumping up to 17. Where are you looking now for it, Matt?
I think I'm probably gonna go with. Man, I really wish we could put that play in there. Let's go with Jaron Thompson.
Nice.
Because I feel like that was the true Texas is back moment.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it's right there. I'm with you. That was very much in that moment of for Texas when that interception happened, sealing the game. That was like that really felt like a reality. We were going to beat Alabama. That things were changing for Texas. That moment, because like the whole game, it felt like Texas could win. That one was just to me, oh, this is real now. Because everything else, there was always this tinge because of what we saw. Like we were talking about the Sam Ehlinger game, and you're like, that's what we were so programmed to was, well, we got a 30-point lead, but still 2 quarters, so we're probably going to lose. Or it's going to be a last-second field goal. And that one, when, the defense actually sealed something, I think was when you felt, okay, now the Sark era is hitting something because the defense is sealing games for us. Because before it was kind of just a shootout and you didn't really know. And then we know in 24, the defense started carrying us even more than the offense was at points. So that was that turn of like, now we're a complete football team.
And that play also comes on the heels of a season that they gave up like 6 double-digit leads in a row.
Yes.
Like in 22.
Yes.
Or I guess that was 21. But still, like that was still like a very, very fresh moment and a fresh thing in a lot of Texas fans' heads was all those blown leads in 21 in Sark's first year. So that was kind of the moment where it's like, okay, we know how to close games now. And not only are we closing games, we're closing it against Alabama.
Exactly. And I mean, even if we want to look at like Texas versus Alabama the year before, Texas takes the lead with 2:20 left in the game. And you're like, we're winning. And then we don't win. So, I think that there was parts of it with that where, Texas does everything they need to do and then, still loses that game because the defense couldn't hold it for 2 minutes. And the next year you're able to get it done in that big interception. So that one's up there of just, really big moments in the game. All right. We're still rolling along. Where do you want to go next here?
Probably Jamal Charles.
Okay. That's a big one in 05.
No. Let's go Chance Mock. That's a game winner.
Mock? Okay. Yeah, we'll love the Chance Mock as well. Yeah, Chance Mock in that winning touchdown pass to B.J. Johnson versus Texas Tech in 03. It's always good to beat Texas Tech. That was in that, that was in the Vince Young's not Vince Young yet time, and Chance Mock, who is who is going to be a really good quarterback in his own right, trying to get Texas through there in the 03 season before Vince started to really turn it on the next year. And that was just that's a big moment in that. And we talk about that Sims Applewhite era and then going through and having to build up, if you don't have that Chance Mock kind of tied you through some of those tough times with Vince, things could change there as well. So putting Chance on there and getting some big wins in 03, I think is a big piece for that puzzle. So 20, do you want to go that Jamal Charles 80-yard touchdown run there against OU in 05?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah, I think that's right where that one belongs as well. Jamal Charles, just showing off what he was going to be able to do for the next couple of years with his unbelievable speed. That is one of those, I think Jane Blue showed a little bit, but not the same level. But when you have those guys that when you watch them and then they just take off and it's you're like, whoa, that guy's gone. Like this safety stopped running. I think you saw that a little bit. And Jamal Charles getting that 80-yard touchdown run versus OU in 05. All right. We've got 5 left to go here on our list. We've got Ethan Burke stopping Amari Daniels to seal the win versus A&M in 2024. Rob Babers pick 6 on a fake punt in the Big 12 championship game in 01 versus Colorado. Devondre Sweat hitting the Heisman after a 2-yard touchdown catch in the Big 12 championship in 23. Tyrone Swoop's game-winning touchdown run versus Notre Dame in OT in 16. And Jordan Whittington forcing the fumble after an interception versus TCU in 2023.
I have to grab my computer charger real quick, but I think that we should go with Ethan Burke here. I think we've fallen far enough where that one can be put on the list.
I'll tell you what, we're going to take a quick break then while he goes grabs his charger. We'll hit our break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up the last couple digits. We'll make sure it's okay with everybody here. If you have any comments, go ahead and throw those in to the chat on the text line. If you have anything we think we've ranked wrong so far, throw those in there. We'll get back to it. We'll get to this and a lot more here on Open Gym, here on Texas Sports Unfiltered on a Monday afternoon.
Hi, I'm Dan Covert with my wife Hayden. Welcome to Covert BK.
Our newest location in the gorgeous Hill Country includes Buick, GMC, Cadillac, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, and hundreds of pre-owned and certified vehicles for you to choose from. We have 3 service departments that are ready to take care of your car, truck, or SUV with 86 service bays to accommodate any repair and get you in and out quickly. Come visit us today to select the vehicle you've been dreaming about.
Covert, born and raised in Austin.
Hi, this is Tom McKay, owner of Audiovisual Consultations.
I got this, Dad. This is Camilla McKay, and my dad can help with any TV or stereo needs you have around your house. Just call him, and he will come to you with advice and a great price. And the guys that work for him are awesome. They can install anything, anywhere. So, like my dad says, just relax and smile. We handle all the work.
So just give us a call at 255-8678 or on the web at avconsultations.com.
Say hello to Jason and the gang over at Relax the Back. They embrace a holistic approach for a healthier lifestyle based on 35 years, folks, of proven expertise, and my back couldn't be happier. Their motto is live wellness, and folks, they can transform your routine, your daily routine, into something very, very special if you have back pain. If you're struggling with thoracic problems, if you got hip problems, if you got lumbar problems, please go over to one of their stores. They got 2 great locations, and find out a chair or a recliner or a sofa that's going to fit you and going to make your life a whole lot better. I've got this office chair right here that I've been sitting in for years, and I love it. 2 locations, folks, at the Hill Country Gallery across from Whole Foods, and in North Austin at the Gateway Shopping Center across from the Container Store. Live pain-free like the buck and Relax the Back.
SendTexTickets.com. If you're in the market for tickets to any sporting event, any concert, any Broadway show, anything live coming to town, you got to head over to SendTexTickets.com. The best seats to all of the biggest events, not just here in Austin, but all over the state and all over the country as well. It's so easy to use. Just log on your phone or computer to SendTexTickets.com. All of their tickets are 100% guaranteed, and they will be delivered right to your phone or computer. So simple to use, and you're also helping to support a local business every time you shop. SendTexTickets.com. So if you want to be at the biggest events in sports and entertainment, there's only one place to go. It's SendTexTickets.com.
All right, back here on Open Gym on Texas Sports Unfiltered. Matt, are you back in the game?
We're back in the game.
Okay. Back in the game. He is not going to die on us, computer die on us during this day.
Yeah.
All right.
I have my computer plugged in for 2 hours before we got on here, and I realized it wasn't plugged into the wall. It was just plugged into my computer. So,
yeah, I feel like I've done
user
those
error
plenty of times. Yeah, I've done those things plenty of times in my life where it's like, I don't know what's happening, but something's going wrong right now. Yeah, when the phone pops up and it's like, you need to charge your phone. I'm like, it's plugged in. And then you look down, it's like hanging out of the socket. Come on, man. Come on. Hour 2 here, the show rolling into it. Going to finish up this top 25 list, get our rankings completely done. We'll put this out on social media so we can get chastised for it. But we appreciate all of you guys' help on us there on the chat, on the text line. The Dakota text line's open, 512-222-9328. And, of course, the chat there on Facebook and Twitch and X and YouTube. And if you're on YouTube and you enjoy it, why don't you go ahead and subscribe or hit the like button, do any of those fun things for us there on the YouTube. Myself, Patrick Davis, alongside Matt Galatzan from Texas Longhorns on SI here on Texas Sports Unfiltered, weekdays, 4 to 6 p.m. It's Open Gym. We're ranking the top 25 plays of the last 25 years for Texas football. We saw the ESPN list. We were unhappy that Vince Young, 4th and 5, was too low on that list. Was also unhappy that Texas made the list 2 more times in the top 10, and they were not positive plays. So I thought we would just do something more positive for us in the offseason, a list that we could really enjoy. So we started to put this together. The people on the chat have helped us out. The people on the text line have helped us out. Some people on X and Facebook and people I've reached out to have helped us out to put together a really good list of the 25 biggest plays or top plays for Texas in the last 25 years, kind of floating requirements of what gets you in there. But I think we've got a pretty good list and some people on there that we like. We're now into the final four. The final four picks here. We are pick 21. It was Ethan Burke stopping Amari Daniels to seal the win versus A&M in 24. A really fun moment to see happen there. Now we've got four left for you. Rod Babers gets a pick six in the fake punt in the Big 12 championship game in 0-1 versus Colorado. Unfortunately, Texas ends up losing that game, but it's a really good play. My man, Rod Babers, I got to put him on my list. So he's got to be on there. So Rod Babers gets thrown on there. It's also a great play, but it does they do end up losing that game versus Colorado and lose the Big 12 championship. They should not have. That pick six should have helped lead them to the victory. Some other dumb plays, though, get them in that situation. There's Tavondre Sweat hitting the Heisman after 2-yard TD catch in the Big 12 championship in 2023. It's big because Texas comes back and wins the title leaving the SEC, winning that Big 12 championship. It's a really fun moment. The touchdown itself is rather not important to the game because Texas is already blowing out Oklahoma State, so it's not really hugely important, but it is a big man touchdown in Tavondre Sweat. It's a fun, memorable play, and it's part of celebrating that Big 12 championship game that Texas gets the win and really walks out of the Big 12 with their head held high while they're all booing Brett Yormark as he's trying to present the award. We get the Tyrone Swoops game-winning touchdown run versus Notre Dame in overtime in 2016. In the moment, this is like 5 on this list. This is in the top 5. In the moment, we thought, in 2025, we'll look back on this and think this is when it all turned around. Texas is back. They just beat Notre Dame, and it was a hard-fought game, but he dives in the end zone in overtime to seal the victory, and Texas gets the win. Little did we know both teams would go on to have very not good seasons that year, and it did not turn out to be a big turning point for Texas football, but the play itself in the moment was huge. The play itself deserves something because it was such a big moment and a big game for Texas. It just turned out the way college football does sometimes that it's not there. And then Jordan Whittington forcing a fumble after an interception versus TCU in 2023. I think this might go to 22 because it's the last relevant win play that we have, right? Like it's the last really relevant play where this is really, really relevant to the outcome of the game is Jordan Whittington forcing this fumble as he dives, he dives for a tackle, misses the tackle, gets back up, chases the play back down, comes in, just form SWAT, just a really form SWAT to knock this ball out. It goes flying out. The ball comes out to rolling out to Xavier Worthy gets on it, and Texas is able to win that game and get Texas still a playoff berth in that season. How do you feel about
Patrick,
that one,
I think we've made a huge mistake.
What did we miss?
Silas Bolden versus OU in 24.
What the
chasing down the loose ball in the end zone and diving on it before.
That is a big one.
Because he starts the play, he starts all the way behind the line of scrimmage and then just outruns everybody for 25, 30 yards and dives on the was it the biggest play? I don't know. Maybe that's an honorable mention, but I think I just thought of that play.
No, I'm with you. This is the problem with this is we've been trying to do this now for like 4 or 5 days. We've had it on the list since Monday of last week. And it has been like, okay, we'll kind of just keep pushing it off and we'll keep thinking of ideas. And you just keep thinking of plays. But I completely forgot about that play. It was huge. It was huge and it was really big. I'm not going to put it in at this point because I don't, but it is a huge play. It was a huge play for Silas Bolden to track it down 100%. I feel like it just got forgotten really quickly because Silas Bolden wasn't able to get going enough. But that was like, that felt like if Silas Bolden would have all of a sudden been like used a lot more after that, I think that would have been a more memorable play. Like that's when Silas Bolden stepped up. But I'm with
maybe that's honorable mention.
It'll be in the honorable mentions. I'm gonna throw in the honorable mentions.
All right. Well, then let's go Rod Babers.
We go Rod Babers there at 23.
Mm-hmm. Let's do that one, and then let's do Jay Witt.
Okay.
And then Tavondre.
And then we'll close it out with to tie swoops, just because of the depressing nature of it, the rest of that season and it not coming to form. But it was like, and like there was fun times then, and that was a fun time, and it's a good play, and it's him diving up the middle to get a win. All those things I think are really great, and then the history after kind of murders it. But
I think that if Texas had gone 10-2 that season, this play would be top 5.
That's what I'm saying. Like if everything turns out the way you think it does, then that's a huge, huge play. But no.
Yeah.
Now I'm trying to look up that Silas.
The thing about the Silas play is I think the game was still very much in doubt at that point. I don't think Texas was ever in danger of losing that game. I mean, Rex points it out, they still would have beat OU by 3 scores, but I think that's the play that flipped the momentum that led to the blowout, if I remember correctly. And it really broke OU's back.
Yeah. Yeah, so that would have made it 14-3. Or that was 14-3. So it was still somewhere close after that, and then they fumble the ball a couple plays later. Texas scores again, and it's 21-3. And so that kind of where it. So it is a big play. It was. So it is a big play, but it is in the moment of it. Not enough to put you into the moment of it wasn't a go ahead. It was a 2-point, but it was just huge. Like I still think it was huge. A big play for Silas Bolden. I love it. It'll go in the honorable mentions. I think it falls in there because it is such a great play. So I do like it in the honorable mentions.
And Scholarship Burt was also 2 for 2 in that game, so that might be the best game of his career.
Scholarship Burt was good until the end.
I'm kidding.
All right. We have our top 25 list, Matt. We have done it now. We're there. Vince Young, 4th and 5, the game-winning touchdown. Quinn Ewers to Matthew Golden, 4th and 13. Justin Tucker, game winner versus A&M. Colt McCoy to Quan Cosby, winning the Fiesta Bowl in 2009. Jordan Shipley's 94-yard kickoff return, touchdown versus OU in 2008. Vince Young to Lima Swede, go-ahead 24-yard touchdown versus Ohio State in 2005. Cameron Dicker the kicker, 40-yard field goal, game-winning field goal versus OU in 2018. Sergio Kindle, sack fumble on Taylor Potts versus Texas Tech in 2009. Vince Young's 4th and 18 in the final minutes of Kansas versus Kansas in 2004. At number 10, Texas stops Lindale White on 4th and down and 6 in the Rose Bowl. 4th down on the 06 Rose Bowl versus USC. Vince Young pump fakes on an 80-yard touchdown run to start the second half versus OK State in 05. Then at 12, Texas takes a knee versus UNC to keep the score at 44 for Cole Pittman. 13, Roy Williams, 39-yard end-around touchdown for the Cotton Bowl. 03 versus LSU, 181 yards and 2 touchdowns. Number 14, Deontay Foreman's 74-yard touchdown run after losing a shoe versus Texas Tech in 16. He ran for 341 yards in that game. Bijan at 15 when he jukes for a 32-yard touchdown run versus Kansas in 2022. 243 yards and 4 touchdowns in that game for Bijan. Chris Sims to Roy Williams, 2 touchdown pass, 2 plays after having his finger pop back in versus Nebraska in 2002. 17, Dusty Mangum's game-winning field goal in the 2005 Rose Bowl versus Michigan. 18, Jaron Thompson's interception versus Alabama in 2023. At 19, Chance Mock's game-winning touchdown pass to B.J. Johnson versus Texas Tech at 03. Over at 20, Jamal Charles' 80-yard touchdown run versus OU in 05. Ethan Burke stops Amari Daniels to seal the win versus A&M in 24. Jordan Whittington forces a fumble after an interception versus TCU in 23. Rob Babers pick 6 on a fake punt in the Big 12 championship in 01 versus Colorado. Devondre Sweat hits the Heisman after a 2-yard touchdown catch in the Big 12 championship in 23. And in 25, Tyrone Swibb's game-winning touchdown run versus Notre Dame in 16. There's 25 of your top 25 plays for the last 25 years in Texas football. That's a really good list, man. I think we've done it. I think we've cracked it, and I can't wait till someone points out something blatantly obvious we have left off this list.
Yeah, there's bound to be something. I mean, I can think of a couple already, like Andrew Makuba's pick versus Arizona State was a huge one. That Quinn Ewers to Matthew Golden against A&M to seal the game was a huge one. So there's definitely a lot of plays that are deserving to be on this list that just didn't quite
and
make
the reality
the cut.
is, if the game is not fully on the list, if there's a big play in a big game and we left the entire game off the list, that'll annoy me more.
Yeah.
If we just picked a different play out of the game, it's kind of luck of the draw in some of these where we're trying to not have everybody be Quinn Ewers or not everything be, Vince Young. And so maybe some of them are picked strategically to not have everything be the same side of the ball. Maybe have some defensive plays in there as well, because you don't want to put out this list. Then we're never going to get another defensive recruit. The top 25 plays are all offense. Never get another guy.
Yeah. Texas recruiting hinges very, very importantly on open gym. So
it's very true. Arch Manning going to the ghetto and open gyms lists. That is what really hinges all of Texas recruiting. But I like it, Matt. I like it. I'll get that posted up either tonight or tomorrow. We will get posted the list. I got to try and make it look pretty and not just do it in my notes app. So it'll look prettier than what I put up before to get that in there. It's also hard to find a way to put something that's longer than that. And maybe I'll be able to. I've seen all the highlights. I've gone back. I found all of the highlights, but now I have to pull them and rip them and then find a way to not get in trouble for posting them again because, we don't own the rights to any of them. So I'm sure there's ways to do it. I'm sure it's somewhat legal somewhere. I just don't. I'm not a lawyer, so I don't know.
You can post videos on Twitter about anything these days.
That's what I figure. That's what I figure will happen. But I don't want to post it. And then, ABC comes after me. I don't need Disney coming after me.
What you could do is find the plays on Twitter themselves already. And then just
them?
Repost
the difficult
link.
one is the difficult is finding the stuff from 20 years ago. That stuff's a little bit hard to find on there sometimes. So I found them in different places, but we may be able to make it work. Or I'll just create burner accounts and post them over there, and then
there you go.
We'll get the Kevin Durant burner account. We'll put it on over there and get us some stuff. Matt, let's get into a little. Actually, I want to get into this real quick. While we'll still talk college football for a minute, because this story came out today and it was funny to me, but it seems like it's probably going to happen. Is that Texas State appears to be the favorite to fill out the new Pac-12.
Yeah.
That is the rumors right now, that basically we know Washington State and Oregon State had been together. They said, we're keeping the Pac-12. Y'all all leave. We're keeping the name. We're going to bring it back. It's not going to be the same conference, but they're going to pretend it is. And it'll be crazy that there will be all these champions and none of them are in the conference. Like all of our history, none of those teams are in the conference anymore. But I do like the trend. Can you tell me what the trend is of all the teams that are rumored to be in the Pac-12 as it begins next year, or when it ever begins, when they all form into it and they get through their passes? The teams will be Oregon State and Washington State, joined by Boise State, Fresno State, Colorado State, San Diego State, and Utah State.
And potentially Texas State.
Because they will have to get it to 8. Right now they're at 7. You have to get to 8 to actually be like a real conference. So they're trying to get to 8. They're still the Pac-12, so you'd figure at some point they'd like to get near that, but apparently in higher education, numbers don't matter. But I think you should only be allowed to join this conference now if your school ends in state.
Yeah, absolutely. We got to find some other state schools. Who else can we find? Montana State.
Well, I mean, because look, San Diego State and Boise State are not actual state schools.
Yeah, but but state schools isn't like state in the name.
Yeah, it just says state last.
Yeah. So yeah, let's see if we can think of a couple more. Montana State. I don't know if they're D1 yet. I don't think they are, but
New Mexico State.
New Mexico State could be one. Yeah. That gets you to 10 if you do those two. Sacramento State.
Is there a Cal State? I feel like Cal State should be in there.
I don't think they have a D1 program, though.
Make them D1. It doesn't matter. This conference isn't going to be any good.
You can go Sacramento State, though. They've got
Gonzaga also apparently is going to join this conference as well, but only in basketball.
Yeah. Man, Arizona State really just screwed all this up.
Well, they would have destroyed in the Pac-12, wouldn't they?
They would have, but it would have continued the trend of 12 schools in the state.
Yeah, I think they can do it. I think they can get there. I think they could make it work. They really wanted to.
Yeah, Oklahoma State, they could leave the Big 12.
They might compete over there.
Yeah, they might compete over there. That's what I'm saying. Georgia State's too far away, although apparently they don't care about that anymore in conference realignment.
Yeah, we'll get Florida State into there too as well. We're having Cal play in the ACC and Florida State play in the Pac-12. It'll be perfect. Doesn't not make sense at all. We'll make those changes. But it's an interesting thing that basically they're saying they're trying to, everybody's trying to figure out the place, especially now in the new NIL schools being able to pay players or fund players through NIL, or however you phrase it. You got that one?
I found a couple more.
Hey.
We've got Sam Houston State.
That's a good one, yeah.
We've got Long Beach State. I don't know if they have a D1 program though. Yeah, because I'm trying to make sure that I don't cross the Mississippi River here.
That's where it gets tough. Yeah, I'm sure there's plenty of like made up weird state ones that are there. We have to find them.
But we need to find 4, right?
Yeah, we just need to find 4 more. They should be at 8 right now. So you just got to find 4 more. Or they could change themselves back to the Pac-10.
My dad just chimed in with a huge win here. San Jose State.
San Jose State. There we go. That's another good one.
So we go San Jose State, we go Sam Houston State, we go Sacramento State, and then I feel like we already had another one in there. We'll say Oklahoma State. New Mexico State. There you go.
New Mexico State.
So we go New Mexico State, San Jose State, Sam Houston State, Sacramento State. Now you got 12.
Yeah, perfect. We're good. Pac-12, we figured it out for you. But the reality was, this was Texas State, who we know Texas State has gotten better and better. They moved up to D1 and not that long ago. They moved up to D1 in 1AA in 1980s. They've come up. They've started to play a little bit better and better and better over the last few years. GJ Kinney has gotten them better and better. They were, some people have money on them to make it to be that Power 5 team. They've been in the conversation of being the Power 5 team that gets the group of 5 teams, that gets a automatic bid. And the big thing of why they want Texas State in this is because they want a footprint in Texas for recruiting. And that is what everybody wants. It's why Texas is in the SEC. It's why Texas A&M was in the SEC. As much as Texas is a big brand, as much as Texas A&M wants it, they were like, we need something in Texas because it's a gold mine of talent. So we need to have something there.
Mm-hmm.
And so by that, they're going to get Georgia State. But by that method, go get it at Georgia as well. But they want to get in Texas. So Texas State opens that door for them. For Texas State, it lets them try and seem even more relevant in a state that really does love football. And as they're trying to grow the brand and trying to figure out how you're going to pay for all this, you get into a conference that maybe has a little bit more history behind it. And, and even if it's really kind of more the same, there is Boise State, which is a school that is, played in the playoffs now. And Fresno State has been good before. So I think a couple of schools you could say maybe they're around there. Oregon State and Washington State at least played with bigger schools before. And we're in the Pac-12, so maybe you get a little clout off of some of these schools. It makes a little bit of sense. We know that somebody on Texas State's staff had posted a picture of beavers beavers in the river, and that was their initial could we be joining with the beef? Texas State is teased that this could be a thing, and now it feels more and more likely that Texas State is going to be joining the Pac-12. Matt, what do you think about Texas State, part of this rejuvenated Pac-12, trying to be something and trying to change the landscape and be something big?
Well, I think if they go all these schools that end in state route and they get to 12, they should change their name to the United States Conference.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
But I mean, I think it would be cool. Texas State has played really well over the last couple of years. They almost beat Arizona State last year.
Oh, you know the
early
best
in
part
the
about
season.
being the United States Conference? It's a real shot at USC.
It is. It really is. I don't know. I mean, I think it would be great for Texas State. I like how they've sort of ascended quickly since they got into D1. This will give them a chance to go even further. I hope the conference doesn't ask for a automatic bid in the college football playoff because it would be. I mean, right now it's SEC all the way at the top, Big Ten below it. Then you have kind of a drop and it's the ACC. Then you got kind of a drop and it's the Big 12. I mean, this would be like a floor level power conference if they tried to make it a power conference. And Texas State, Texas State would if in this current lineup with 8 teams that they would have, Texas State would probably be the 4th best team in the conference.
Yeah. I mean, they could be the 3rd best if they could get in there. It's Boise State. Boise State's the only team that really has a track record of success. Everybody else doesn't really. Fresno State was good when Derek Carr was there.
Mm-hmm.
Derek Carr just retired from the NFL.
Boise State probably wins that conference every single year.
Yeah, and then eventually things may change in it, and the power struggles may go the way they do. But yeah, you're not a power conference because Boise State, who is the best team in another group of 5, is moving to another group of 5 conference. You know what I mean? So you can't be a power conference if you're not getting anyone from power conferences.
Yeah, they would have to pull a major, coup and get like an Oklahoma State or Texas Tech or get Arizona and Arizona State to come back or something like that.
Basically, what they would need to do, what they need to do is keep it at 8 or 10 and basically try to get a TV deal that hinges on some teams leaving the Big Ten and coming back to them.
Yeah, or getting Cal and Stanford back. I think would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, I mean, now Stanford dog water in football right now, but still, like I'm with you. I think it would make a big difference if you get I think that's where you kind of want to be at is let's see if we can get a TV deal pitched to us that if we do go to these teams that are going to be struggling in the Big Ten, that guys, let's come on back to the Pac-12. Let's bring it on back. We get it. We all had a fight. There was a big spat. We've rejuvenated things. We got rid of that stupid commissioner who couldn't get us a TV deal, and we got one because they don't want to give it to the Big 12 anymore. So we're going to steal their TV deal basically, and we're going to kill the Big 12.
I would love that.
And that's the deal. It's we're going to get USC and Oregon and Stanford and Cal back, or something like that. Yeah, and it was we're just going to take all those teams back, and we're going to rejuvenate, and that the TV will go, well, that's way better than the Big 12 now. So you guys survive with that, and we'll just kill off the Big 12 then. So I think that would be that's my long-term game plan, next 10 years, 15-year game plan. If I'm the Pac-12 right now is guys, we just need to get in a position where we're stable. And then we can start pitching. We can start talking to ADs and other conferences that if this whole thing where USC and UCLA are pissed off because they're having to travel all over the world and pay NIL and do all this stuff to go get there, that maybe they could talk them into coming back.
Yeah. And then, if you really wanted to kill the Big 12, you could go in and you could take Arizona and Arizona State back, maybe take Colorado back, take Texas Tech and Oklahoma State and
then kick out all the schools that helped you bring it back.
Yeah. Just reunite that. The Pac-12 falling apart, I think, was a huge misstep, obviously.
It was, but it was done by the Big 12 because everyone knew there wasn't enough power to keep 5 conferences. There wasn't enough teams to keep 5. And so somebody was going to go, and the TV deals went. The TV people picked Big 12 over the Pac-12, and then it was the Pac-12 couldn't get a deal, and they went up and were trying to do the same deal as MLS is doing, which is a paid-for subscription on Apple TV. That was what they were pitching, and that's when USC and everybody bounced. when that came across the table, that it was like, you guys can go sell memberships, like selling candy bars for your Pop Warner team. We're going to be doing that again. Everybody bounced in the Pac-12. Like immediately, that was everyone talking to the Big Ten then and being like, yeah, no, we're coming. You still got that spot open for us? We're definitely coming. They just asked us to sell a Pac-12 membership, meaning we're not on anybody who doesn't want to watch this TV. Like we're only on our own thing. So we're losing all of our recruiting edge. We're losing all of this stuff. And they were trying to make the money work, but they didn't understand the bigger picture of it, the people at the top of the Pac-12. But it came down to TV. Big 12 their deal came up earlier, so they were able to get it done when Texas and Oklahoma were still there. And I don't think TV understood how bad the Big 12 was going to get after they left.
Yeah. I feel like if the Big 12 falls apart, it might be the best thing that happened to college football.
If the
Pac-12 if the Pac-12 came back. So if you substituted the Big 12 and you kind of pick the scraps from the Big 12 and you put them in other places, like you transport Texas Tech to the Pac-12, you put Colorado in the Big 10. Maybe you can, if you're trying to replace like Oregon and USC in the Big 10, maybe you could finally make a pitch to Notre Dame to be in a conference.
Yeah.
And go to the Big 10 because they're already in the ACC for basketball, which like doesn't make sense in any way. So like if you can move them over to the Big 10, that makes sense for all of their sports geographically. Yeah. And then, I think that if you do that, you have a much better conference that's much more deserving of all this talk of, automatic bids and all these things that would bring in a lot more money with Oregon and USC once again as the front runners. And the whole thing is just a lot more stable. And then you don't like Houston and some of these other teams in the Big 12, like, sorry about it. Like, don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
But like, then maybe Oklahoma State can go to the Big 10. They can finally kick Rutgers or Maryland back to the ACC. Like, you could kind of get a lot more of a stable geographical conference
you could
footprint
make it work
that way.
Yeah, you could make it work. And Oklahoma State could technically come to the SEC as well. They're not great, but it puts you back in the competition that you get Bedlam back, and so you bring that back into it, which is fun. I don't know what other team you'd bring in from the Big 12 into the SEC though.
That's probably it. I can't think of one.
But it was an interesting piece with all the conference realignment and all of that, and kind of being done that Texas State now could be a Pac-12 team. A statement that if you made in 2010, everyone would say you were out of your freaking mind.
Yeah, you get laughed out of the room.
Well, Texas State's probably going to be a Big 12 team in 2026. Like, a Pac-12 team. Like, no, Texas State will not be a Pac-12 team in 2026. You just wait to see how crazy things get. So I thought it was an interesting piece that came out today that is now feeling like the new trend is that Texas State will end up there. There will be 8 teams in a new Pac-12 as they try and restabilize and rebuild the Pac-12. And then it's really a question of, does the Big Ten still have so much power that they're able to just turn down any offers like that? They'll pay, all those teams enough, or do the USCs, UCLAs, Oregons realize that travel is just way too much and they made a mistake possibly? And if we can get a good TV deal back there, let's go back there. Let's go back to where we know we're not going to have that travel anymore. Recruiting becomes easier for us. All these pieces become way easier because we go back to where we belong. And that sounds negative always, but we go back to a Pacific Conference as opposed to flying across and playing all these schools in the Midwest. I think it makes sense, but again, the money has to equal out at the end of the day. And right now that's a long ways from happening. So you have to wait till TV contracts go up. And then it really is, can the Pac-12 basically stage a coup to get teams to come back to kill off the Big 12? There's only going to be 4 power conferences. So the Pac-12 has to find a way to come from behind and eat the Big 12. I don't know if that'll happen, but I'm sure that's a battle plan.
Yeah. And who would not want to see Brett Yormark, be put out of a job at this point?
I like Brett Yormark a lot. I thought he had a lot of good ideas, and now he is just really seems like he did not. Like, it just feels like everyone in the Big 12 really thought that Texas and Oklahoma weren't that important to the infrastructure of it. Like
Yeah,
they,
and
for whatever reason, they just thought, no, we'll be fine without having a major power here, and we'll have our own major powers then, right? You can't just make them overnight. You can't just have a star overnight. But they, for whatever reason, thought they could.
Yeah, that's like, I mean, I'm not trying to get political here, but that's like the United States and Great Britain leaving NATO, and NATO being like, "No, we're good, we got it,
we're good, we're good."
It's like these are by far the two biggest moneymaker power schools in your conference, and you're just cool with letting them walk. Like you don't. How do you not see the cascading ripple effect of that down the line? It boggles my mind to this day.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Matt, let's talk some NFL here while we got some time here on a Monday afternoon. There are some other camps starting, some more mandatory camps starting this week. We haven't seen too many more no-shows at these camps that are starting this week. But I did see a piece talking about some overreactions to hit, and thought, it's an overreaction Monday. We'll just steal some directly from Rich Eisen, and we'll go into some things to overreact to. And I want to see, and you can judge if these are overreactions from camp or if there is some substance to these stories coming out of camp. So if you could say, no, it's just a complete overreaction. First overreaction, let's go to the easy one. Shedeur Sanders will be starting for the Cleveland Browns within the first few weeks of the season. He is stepping out of this camp and showing that he is the guy in Cleveland. They have maybe found the next big guy in Cleveland. Everybody look at him. He, I believe somebody put up that his OTA numbers were some of the best since they've been keeping track. Can't say that with a straight face. But the fact that he is clearly better than Dylan Gabriel, he's clearly better than Kenny Pickett, and Joe Flacco is waiting to go. He's barely playing. Shedeur Sanders looks to be the next guy in Cleveland, and it's just a matter of time at this point.
So am I saying that's an overreaction, or if that's
is it an overreaction, or is there's some justice to it?
I think there's some justice to it. I guess I have a hard time seeing him not taking over as the starter at some point. I just don't think it'll be week 1. But it's only a matter of time. It has to be. They don't have anybody else on the roster.
Yeah. All right.
How about that's just like the fact of the matter? Like I've seen people already like coming out and saying that the Dolphins should trade for Dylan Gabriel at the end of the preseason. It's like, why? Like, do you honestly believe that? Like, I don't. Anyway,
I don't know. That feels very much like an OU fan that just is trying to rub it in that they had a better quarterback than Quinn. That's what it feels like they're trying to say.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, how about this? That Travis Hunter, the overreaction that Travis Hunter will be a two-way player next year. They're already splitting his reps at practice. He's going to play the majority of snaps in both places and is going to take in a new realm of what you can do in the NFL by playing both ways for most of next season, most of the snaps he can play.
I think that's a massive overreaction. I think he plays 90% of his snaps on offense, and he comes in at spot plays like in a dime package or in obvious passing situations or whatever the case may be on defense, like 3rd and 20. He'll come in and play some corner or whatever. I don't think people realize. A lot of people who are propping Travis Hunter up is like, oh, he can play, 100% on both sides of the ball. I don't think people who are saying that realize how much more physical the NFL is than college football, especially how much more physical the NFL is than the Big 12. And the fact that Travis Hunter was already dealing with injuries last year, and he's, 180 pounds, 175 pounds. I mean, the first time this kid, and like his welcome to the NFL moment is going to be a brutal one, I think. Like he's going to get hit real hard, and he's going to kind of realize like, okay, like I maybe I'm not ready for, like, I know I really want to do this, but I'm fine with coming in with, 3rd and 20, and all I have to do is swat a pass down with, 30 seconds left in the game or whatever. I just don't think his body can hold up over that period of time.
No, I think I'm with you that it is. And, you know, over time, I think he'll find more of what the role is. But yeah, rookie season. And two, it's like, I think the Jacksonville team is going to be good, but I think there's going to be points like, well, we just need you here. Like, we have this figured. We can get this, and we just need you in some certain places. So we don't need you to be everywhere all at once. We need you to be 100%. And we can't have you disappearing in the fourth quarter. We can't have you getting torched on one end in the fourth quarter, or on the other flip side of it, having you, not be able to break away and be a dynamic receiver in the fourth quarter. Like, we need you to be fresh. And I know you think you can do this, but over 18 games and everything else. And once our season is kind of starting to go, once we realize, we are 6th or 7th loss of the season, it may be time to back off and just try and get you figured out. It's, one thing that you can do really well, and then also be a showcase on the other side of the ball as well. But we don't need you to be there every play of every down. I'm with you on that one. They're splitting it right now, but it feels like this is keep everybody happy through camps. And then we'll get there as like it. The only thing that's going to show him is either him being right or us being right. So we're going to put him out there and let him kill himself in OTAs and let him kill himself in training camp, and then start to go, yeah, here's the tape. Here's all your analytical numbers in training camp where we ran you to death, and your speed went down, 3 miles per hour at the end of the day. And, we looked at your explosiveness and it went down at the end of the day, all of that stuff. I can't have that at this level. Like you went from an elite player to an okay player by the end of the game, and that's when we need you. Yeah. So I can't have you playing both ways. I think they'll find a way to let the numbers show it. Now, if he goes into camp and plays, they give him every snap of every down in both ways and all that, and they're like, you got faster at the end, then maybe it will be. I just don't think if that happens too, it's put him in a lab, start studying him. He's an alien.
The odds of him being the first person in NFL history to do something rather than not be the first person in NFL history to do something, that gap is pretty vast in my opinion. Yes. I mean, Deion Sanders was the last person that really did it, and he played like a few snaps at receiver, and that was it. So,
all right, how about our Stephon Diggs is going to be a major problem for this Patriots team. Will probably not finish the season on this team. His offseason activities and lack of responsibility, injury, everything else will likely lead to him them parting ways before even the end of the season, because Stephon Diggs is not taking this seriously enough.
I think this is an inevitability. I don't think this is an overreaction at all. He's making a lot of weird decisions this offseason. Yeah. It probably doesn't help that he's dating Cardi B. That's a distraction in and of itself. But when you're supposed to be at OTAs and you're on a boat with magic pixie dust, whatever that is, it's kind of hard to see you all of a sudden deciding, you know what, I'm going to go straight lace and I'm going to really buy into this new vision for the New England Patriots, even though I just got a new massive contract.
Yeah, no, I think that, look, I think he'll finish the season there because I think the Patriots are going to be a dumpster fire. Some people are buying into this stuff. I like Mike Vrabel as a coach. I don't like their coordinators at all. And it just, like the reports out of camps are that the offensive line looks like complete garbage, that the guys aren't showing up where they need to be. You're talking about a Stephon Diggs coming back from an injury, being basically your main wide receiver for Drake May, who we don't know. We know he was okay last year, but what are you going to be able to pull out of that? I think they'll be okay, but I think it's just going to go downhill very quickly because I think the offense is going to get wildly too complicated at points for no reason because Josh McDaniels has to prove that he's a smart guy. Yeah. And I think it'll just start to spiral out of control somewhere. And, I don't know when Mike Vrabel is going to be able to go up to Robert Kraft and be like, okay, you helped hire these guys. You helped put this together. If we want to make this my team, we have to get rid of every old Patriots thing's got to go. We have to completely restart, and everyone who's a hanger on, because anyone who's still here means nobody else wanted them. Like, there's a reason why they're still here after a dynasty. is because they were the people that either left and went somewhere else and failed and came back because you gave them a home again, or they just never left because they were never really wanted anywhere else. We have to get fresh blood in here. Bill Belichick's gone, Tom Brady's gone. Let's get new blood in. And I'm not sure if that's the case this season. And I think there's still too much lingering, pretending that there's still a dynasty. And they're so far from that right now. So I don't have a ton of – so I think he'll just be on the team because I don't think that's going to be their major concern. I think they're just going to be bad, and he'll just be on a bad team. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like he's going to get suspended at some point.
I think once we get into the season, he's probably not going to – so unless he gets suspended for something he did in the offseason, I think that he'll be fine. He normally just is kind of an idiot during the season, but not like – he's not in the news all the time necessarily during the season. Let's go over to Houston. CJ Stroud not being able to be a full participant in any of these camps is a very worrying sign for the Houston Texans that CJ Stroud may not be ready to play football next season, that he has a shoulder injury, that things are headed downhill for this CJ Stroud, and they could already be kind of working on this is not, CJ Stroud's going to have some issues going forward, especially through this season, where this may be a gap year for the Texans as they try and figure out the offensive line, and now a quarterback who's just not ready to play football and feels like he should be able to.
We've got 3 months until the season starts, I believe.
Yeah.
I think this is a massive overreaction. I think CJ Stroud's going to be fine. I think they're just taking a conscious route because you don't want to push the guy to come back when he's not ready. But he's got plenty of time to get ready. When he's healthy, he's a elite quarterback. As long as you protect him and you give him some guys to throw to, he's going to be very, very good. It's just a matter of him getting healthy, and I think he does get healthy by the start of the season. I just don't buy into all the negativity surrounding him. This is kind of, The NFL has turned into such a "what have you done for me lately" league, and the second that a guy starts to struggle or the guy has an injury problem or something of that nature, people are already starting to doubt him and he's done. Like it's never going to work out here. The Texans are screwed. All this. It's just let the guy get healthy. If we get to September, what's the first week of the season? September 8th, September 9th, something like that. Like
yeah.
If he's still not there yet, then we can start to have the conversation of, okay, are we worried about this?
Yeah.
But we have so much time until the season starts. I feel like this is just kind of a narrative that's being kicked up in the off season to kind of, drive clicks and things like that.
No, I'm with you. I don't, it's not worrying me yet. It's not really. I think that he'll be okay. And they're maybe playing it safe to make sure that they don't aggravate anything. They go, all right, if it's a little bit sore, let's keep you partial. We don't need you. We're also learning a lot of new things. So, we can work on this without necessarily having you throw the football. We know you can throw the football. All right. How about this one? Aaron Rodgers has turned over a new leaf. Aaron Rodgers showed up, signed with the Steelers before mandatory minicamp and showed up and participated fully in the minicamp. Aaron Rodgers took a team-friendly contract. Aaron Rodgers has been an exemplary member of the Pittsburgh Steelers so far. He is ready to go. He has a spiral that people feel will be able to withstand the test of time a little bit more on his arm. He is ready to go, turn over a new leaf. He's a married man now. This will not be the same drama-filled Aaron Rodgers experience. He did not announce it on Pat McAfee. He didn't make a big scene about signing. It just happened, and he's ready to go. He is ready to be all business for the Steelers.
I don't buy that at all. I think it's going to be the same old story that we see every single time. I feel like, maybe we have this happy-go-lucky Aaron Rodgers until we get to the regular season. And then when things start going downhill early, like they start 0-2, 0-3, something like that, maybe 1-2, 1-3, and he kind of struggles, he gets hit a bunch, then he's going to start making noise and he's going to start, undercutting Mike Tomlin to the media, and he's going to start, trying to dig for, well, I need you guys to trade for this guy, or like I'm just going to do this, and I'm not going to follow your game plan. I'm just going to kind of wing it, and we're going to play my brand of football, not yours, because your brand of football isn't working. And then he's going to go on Pat McAfee and say a bunch of stuff that's going to make headlines and cause a bunch of controversy. I think it's a ticking time bomb, and it's inevitable that it's going to happen again. It's been the same guy his entire career. He was able to get away with it for so long in Green Bay because he was just such an overwhelmingly dominant player. He's not that overwhelming dominant player anymore. And he doesn't have the same rapport with the Pittsburgh organization that he had with Green Bay. So in my mind, it's just a matter of time before it all blows up.
All right. I like that. I think he'll be pretty business, and I don't think it'll be anything bad. I think he will go to the media and he'll do Pat McAfee, or he'll do something. I think he will do stuff, but I don't think there's necessarily going to be any massive headlines that come out of it. I think he'll just be like, yeah, this kind of worked and it kind of didn't. I think this is going to be kind of the lackluster final chapter of the Aaron Rodgers career, of him slowly realizing throughout the year that it's over. And it's not there. And so no more lashing out, just being like, no, I tried. It didn't work. I think that'll be more. I think it'll just be kind of sad at the end of the day. All right. A couple more for you real quick before we hit our second break. Anthony Richardson missing minicamp because he is hurt. Signals the end of the Anthony Richardson era in Indianapolis. This is Daniel Jones's job. Anthony Richardson is a guy who needs a ton of work, and he is not even doing that. He is he's still saying he's working out his other stuff by himself. He's having injuries. He still says it's undetermined when he'll be able to come back even because of his injuries. But he's been staying more away from the team than with them. And Daniel Jones is coming in and taking his job. This is Daniel Jones's job next year, not Anthony Richardson's anymore.
I don't think that's an overreaction. I think it's a smokescreen is what it is. I think that he realizes that he has lost his job and he's trying to find a way out. And it's only a matter of time before that becomes official and Daniel Jones becomes the starter. And then they look to trade him in the offseason, or they just let him walk when his contract's up, or whatever the case may be. I just don't think that there's a future in Indianapolis for him. And this kind of, maybe he is injured. I'm not trying to, say that he's not, but I think that it just, from an outside perspective, kind of seems to me like it's kind of telling that he's on his way out, and that's kind of the route that they're choosing to go with it.
Yeah, and I'm not even saying he's faking the injury either, but it still seems like, dude, you need every second of work you can get, because Daniel Jones, while he's not a good quarterback, is a serviceable quarterback. And you right now are not serviceable. You are extraordinary in certain things and then really bad at others. So, like, you can hit somebody for a 90-yard touchdown pass and no one else in the league can throw. And then it's second down, you're up by 14 points because you hit two big plays, and you're going to throw a ball 6 yards over someone's head for an easy pick, and then not chase down the guy who runs it in back for a touchdown. Like, those two things can't go together. You can't play in the NFL by taking shortcuts, and it feels like he takes too many of them. It's not even a shot at him. He's just still a little immature, and he should have never been the number 3 pick in the draft. He should have, if he would have been picked a little bit later, maybe the work ethic would have been different and the treatment would have been different. But I'm with you. I think that his time in Indy is nearing an end, and it does feel like Daniel Jones' team right now. One more for you. The Bengals are closing their own window by taking these stances on contracts on the defensive end. By not playing ball with Trey Hendrickson or Shamar Stewart, they are basically sealing their fate that this defense is going to be so bad that it does not matter how good Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are. This defense is going to lose them enough games this season that they're just out of the picture now.
I could see that being an absolute possibility. Not paying Trey Hendrickson, while stupid, and I completely disagree with it, is one thing and it by itself.
Yeah,
but the
teams
stuff
have
that
done
they're
it before.
doing, yeah, but the stuff that they're doing with Shamar Stewart is absolutely idiotic.
Yeah.
I don't understand it. This guy's supposed to be the future of your defensive line. He's your first round pick, and you're not only are you hamstringing your defense going into next season, when you have an offense that's good enough to win a Super Bowl, you're not going to give that offense any help. You're just saying, nope, screw it, we don't care. We're just going to be proud, and we're gonna keep our stance, and we're gonna go this route. But you're also setting a precedent that, you know, if somebody doesn't like if you do something to piss off one of these draft picks, they're just not going to play for you. They're going to go back into the draft next year.
Yeah.
And then you never get a guy that you want again in the first round. Because they're like, why would I go to that team when they want to do this to me? I can go anywhere else because they're not going to do it. And they'll just refuse to sign there, or they'll, you know, I mean, I'm sure there will be somebody who's like, I just want my dream. I'm going to go. And I mean, if this happens, there's a realistic possibility that they'll have to trade away their first round draft pick next year just so they can get a guy.
Yeah, no, that's very true. Yeah, they could be in a position of, well, we just can't draft first rounders anymore because this is going to be a constant thing. Yeah, you're right with that. That's a crazy thought, but that could be the truth. You got to trade it. You know, you're going to try and trade Shamar Stewart, but you have to sign Shamar Stewart to trade Shamar Stewart, by the way. You can't trade him if he's currently not under contract, not tradable right now. So I mean, it's a weird world, and yeah, to not pay a guy, draft a guy to replace him, that we could discuss the value of that pick, and you know, if that guy ready to do that in 1 year when your window's like now, we can discuss that. But then to even then say, well, we're not going to have any camps or anything else because of a small wording disagreement in the contract, and we're just not going to budge on it, is crazy to me. They're apparently talking to Trey Hendrickson again now, but that the fact that they're opening communication doesn't mean anything to me. Like that whole, well, we're going to go lowball him again. That's what that means. Mm-hmm. We're going to call him up, and we're going to, you know, he wants whatever. He wants $35 million a year, and we offered him 20. We're going to offer him 22 now. So we're in negotiations again. Like, you're not, because you're not getting anywhere close to where he wants to be. So, I mean, we'll see if they start to get anywhere closer to that, but that is a crazy thing to pay all that money on offense and then basically hamstring yourself completely on the defensive end of the ball when you have star players and really good guys, and then just not even paying your first round pick. Well, we'll draft defense, but we're not going to get him. It's not even money. It's literally a phrase in the contract. It's crazy to me. It's nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That was some overreactions there for the NFL on a Monday afternoon. That's the way I can say it, so we're not ripping off Rich Eisen completely. We'll roll through. We're going to take a quick break, our second break. We'll come back. We'll get into the NBA Finals Game 5 tonight. There was also a big trade, which maybe changes the world of the landscape for the Kevin Durant trade that has been discussed. We'll get into all of that and more when we come back here. Wrap up the show here on Open Gym on Texas Sports Unfiltered.
At Sleep Cycle Center, we can treat your sleep apnea in various ways. My story starts 15 years ago with the loss of my father to undiagnosed untreated sleep apnea. And this is a very preventable disease, and treatment options are various. Millions of people across America have sleep apnea, and they fail to realize the early warning signs. Fatigue, daytime sleepiness, and snoring are the most common signs. We'll find the best solution using advanced technology, oral and epigenetic appliances, or CPAP. We offer weight loss, oral surgery, and laser treatments. Schedule your appointment today and get your sleep evaluation.
If you're looking to remodel a kitchen, renovate your bathroom, or maybe add some new life to your outdoor space, reach out to our friends at McCall Custom Homes. They are custom home builders and renovators here in Central Texas, and they've been doing it in Central Texas for more than 40 years. It's a father-son team with a ton of experience, and all of that experience is here in the Austin area. So they know what it takes to turn an Austin area home into something truly, truly special. Right now, our friends at McCall Custom Homes are offering free estimates to TSU listeners so they can come out to your place, hear your vision, they can tell you what they can do, and then you can go from there. Don't just take my word for it. Check out their website, McCallCustomHomesATX.com. Look at the gallery of jobs they've done over the last 4 decades. And And when you're ready, again, reach out to them and they will come to you. McCall Custom Homes, ATX.com, or you can call or text Mike McCall directly at 512-633-9580. It's McCall Custom Homes. We build value into your home.
Hi, everyone. This is Tom McKay, owner of Audiovisual Consultations. We've been serving and assisting customers in the Texas area
I think I got this by now, old man. This is Camilla McKay, Audiovisual's social media and website manager. Our company has been helping you sit back and relax for the last 37 years. We come to you, and we're the kind of workers you want in your home. We give you all the advice at a great price, and we do a lot more than just audiovisual systems. We have employees capable of performing services like electrical contracting, heated floors, motorized shades. Am I forgetting anything, old man?
Yeah, we do surveillance systems, controlled lighting systems, and landscape lighting, computer networks, multi-room audio systems, and of course, we install some really cool theaters.
I had a feeling you were going to say that last one.
Now, am I forgetting anything?
Only this. Remember to hug your kids, laugh with strangers, and make love to whoever the hell you want.
So give us a call at 512-255-8678.
Or visit us online at avconsultations.com.
That's 512-255-8678.
Welcome back into Open Gym here on Texas Sports Unfiltered on a Monday afternoon. Myself, Patrick Davis, alongside Matt Galatzan from Texas Longhorns on SI as we roll into a Monday afternoon and a NBA Finals Game 5 coming up tonight in Oklahoma City. And we get into a little bit of talk about the NBA as we roll on here in the last 10 minutes or so of the show. Matt, Game 4 on Friday felt very, very pivotal to me. This was a game that it felt like Indiana had control of for most of the game, but OKC, similar to Game 1, was never out of it. They kept being in it. It looked like they were getting beaten. It looked like it was Indiana's speed, but every time Indiana make a run, OKC would just push right back into it. And then in the fourth quarter, they had the energy. They made the push, and they get the win. And it really felt like in Game 4, the Pacers had it. The finals were in their hands. They could go up 3-1. And they tried to put their foot on the throat. They're in, the rear naked choke, trying to choke out the Thunder, and they just couldn't do it. And they got tired trying to choke them out. And, if you ever see a fight like that and somebody just loses their legs and they can't get the choke out, this is what it feels like. And right now, this series is throwing us a lot of, twists and turns. But it feels like right now, this is OKC's series again, which it didn't feel like for 2 games there. And OKC's going to win tonight, and then all they got to do is win one more, and they could probably do that in Game 6. It feels like a big momentum shift happened in quarter 3, quarter 4 of Game 4.
Yeah, it did, and it's extra hard for the Pacers to kind of stomach this one because Oklahoma City went 3 of 16 from 3.
Yeah.
They weren't shooting the ball particularly well. They got 34 of 38 from the line. So they got a very good portion of their points from the free throw line. And, you didn't get necessarily the game from Tyrese Halliburton that you needed. None of your role players really outside of Obi Toppin really stepped up big. You were only 11 of 36 from 3. Like, you had so many opportunities to put this game away, and you just could never figure out a way to do it. And Oklahoma City just kept coming. And, it really does feel like, I think that's a great analogy that you made. It feels like a boxer who was going for a haymaker.
Yeah.
And then missed and got clocked coming back. And it ended the fight. And then now, it really, it's difficult to find a path with 2 more games in Oklahoma City. It's really hard to find a path for Indiana to win this series. I'm not going to count Rick Carlisle out. I think he can help them bounce back here and get another game, but it's really hard to see them winning 2 out of the next 3 with the way that the last one ended, because it feels like it just kind of took the wind out of their sails.
Yeah, exactly. And it feels like you've already seen some of the better games from some of their role players. Like, is there going to be another Ben Mathurin game? I don't know if you get another Ben Mathurin game. If you do, that could change things. You know, are you going to be able to get another TJ McConnell big game? Or either of those guys going to show up in Oklahoma City, or is that only game in Indianapolis? You know, Tyrese Halliburton's got to play a little bit better. Pascal Siakam's got to play better. I think the only thing that could really change this series back up is if they walk into the game tonight and the refs say contact 40 feet away from the basket, it's going to be a foul every time. All those plays that Lou Dort and Alex Caruso are getting away with, which, look, if they're calling it that way both ways, you can't complain about it, but it was physical 40 feet away from the basket. And they're basically funning up, pushing pushing Tyrese Halliburton 30, 40 feet away from like 10 feet behind the 3-point line. They're pushing him. They're picking him up at half court and physical contact at half court. If the refs say we're going to start calling that, you cannot stop the game down this much, it will change the game because it'll get Lou Dort in trouble. It'll get Alex Caruso in trouble. And that could change the series. I don't think that happens, though, because I don't think you can just all of a sudden come out and start calling those. Now, they could call some of them, but I don't know if they're going to come out and try and set that tone and consistently call that. That feels like the only real way that Indy wins anything here in Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City is a 9.5-point favorite tonight.
Yeah, I mean, it would be really, really controversial if the refs just decided to call the game differently all of a sudden. That causes a lot of conversations outside of the game. It's really hard to see that happening. I mean, there's other ways for them to get back into it. You know, if you start hitting your threes and you know you keep Oklahoma City off the line, then that could get you a game. But is that going to get you the series? No. I mean, there's so many different ways Oklahoma City can beat you.
No, and for the record, the game 4 was officiated terribly, but it was both ways. It was just officiated terribly. It wasn't like anybody fixed it anywhere back and forth. I mean, you should never have over 70 free throws in a game. There's 71 free throws in that game. So that should tell you that was a poorly officiated game with 71 free throws. They just would randomly decide foul. All right, play. 8 minutes go by then. Foul. Like, you can't do that. You either got to be tough or not. And so they weren't that way at all. But yeah, this feels like it's OKC's game. I'm hoping that Indy proves me wrong. They've done it multiple times this playoff, so there's a chance Rick Carlisle could come and figure something out and get another trend to get them going in the right direction. I think Indy is going to have the right attitude for it. They did get a little bit more rest. They looked tired. I mean, everyone just looked completely tired at the end of the game. But SGA just had a little bit more to go. And that's when you get superstars. SGA was playing great in the fourth quarter. And, I mean, that was really one of the big difference. When everybody else was completely out of gas, SGA was able to step up. We'll see if that happens tonight. We don't have much time to get in the trade, so we won't get into that. We may get into that tomorrow. We will get to our meathead of the day before we sign off tonight. And I wanted to give you this. We already talked trash about the Bengals. Here's a little bit more. This is apparently their new motto for the season. Is this picture I saw today. That Bengal is fat, PHAT, physical, hungry, accountable, teammate. I'm hoping I hope this is real and not AI. I haven't seen enough different pictures to fully vouch that this is true and not AI. It doesn't look like real AI, so I'm hoping that this is not a Photoshop or something. But I just thought it was hilarious, and it makes sense for the Bengals.
It does make sense for the Bengals, especially considering that they're not being accountable with their players.
Well, and doesn't this feels like something Joe Burrow would think is funny?
Yeah. I mean,
Joe Burrow just kind of awkward, and he'd be like, "Fat, oh, that's funny," and you're like, "Joe, no, Joe,
it's not." This is arguably the worst. If this is real, which there's a very good possibility that it's not, we don't, we'd have to see it from multiple different sources for it, maybe it's photoshopped, maybe it's AI, maybe it's something like that. But this might be the worst team motto that I've seen in the NFL in quite some time. This is really bad.
Yeah. No, if this is it, I'm hoping this is it, because it'll be, enjoyment all season long if this is true, if that's a real thing. So I'm hoping it is. I don't know if it is or not.
This
We
would
got to
have
get
been
out
something. This sorry, but this would have been something that we saw in like the 70s or the 80s.
Yeah, 100%.
That's yeah.
No, this if this was in like Oakland when Al Davis was still alive, I would have believed it then. It would have made more sense to me. All right, we got to get out of here. We'll be back tomorrow wrapping up the NBA Finals. We'll get into that trade as well and see where Kevin Durant may go. More college football talk, more NBA, NFL, all of that good stuff here on Open Gym. But we'll get out of here for today. So until tomorrow, remember to be kind, be safe, keep your underwear clean, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.